Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tuesday, the 16th day of January 2018. I could barely make it into the studio because the roads are iced up with snow and sleet across the state of Texas. There's been record snow in the middle of the Sahara Desert as well, not seen in hundreds of years. But Al Gore says that is the proof of man-made global warming. You need to pay money into his tax-free foundation. He's only brought in $3 billion total so far, that he got close to $1 billion of himself. You need to pay Gore and Blood. I'm not joking. That's the name of the carbon trading company. Now, huge transmission today. The Dow has gone above 26,000 points, and it's continuing to rise. They're saying it looks like it's going to be 1,000 points this week alone. There's the headline on CNBC. Dow breaks 26,000 for the first time. Merck and United Health jump. And if you go back to the Drudge Report, you can see there some of the other amazing jobs numbers that are flooding in. And, of course, we've got lots of flashbacks right there. Jesse Jackson praises Trump for lifetime of service to African Americans. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that just special? Meanwhile, there's another link up on drudgereport.com, and that is the video interview we did yesterday. Actor exposes deep state war versus America, his relationship with Putin, in the most wide-ranging Steven Seagal interview ever. And this isn't just about Steven Seagal. It's about hundreds and 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 hundreds of news articles yesterday, and only 3 of them quoted him from the interview. The others just said he denies it and then never showed why he denied it, pointing out that the lawyers involved are on record paying women when they make the allegations. Isn't that just incredible? And he got into the whole deep state connections, you name it. It was elements of the CIA that got him in touch with me to be on the broadcast. I know some of these individuals. I mean, you'd think when Moby talks about the CIA, leftist elements, asking him to put out disinfo about Trump being a Russian agent, why, that's big news. But when good guys in the government put me together with Steven Seagal to counter all this, and I've already been briefed by people in the Pentagon, you name it. We have it in the WikiLeaks. We have it in other documents. They're putting out this whole Me Too movement. We're close to the allegations. Close to 50% have been proven to be false, to smokescreen the real abuses in Hollywood. And that's who's quarterbacking it. People like Oprah Winfrey, people like the Weinstein Group. This is a sick joke. Do I think Steven Seagal's innocent? Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. This is just incredible. You know, Seal, who's never had any allegations. He's been famous for 25, 30 years. I mean, I was listening to Seal in high school, okay? And never had any allegations, married to a supermodel, and he comes out and says Oprah Winfrey's despicable and basically pimps women for Harvey Weinstein. Boom! Allegation that he was improper with some woman. Pretty soon there's not going to be anybody out there who, quote, isn't improper. And now they're talking about segregating men and women on sets, in schools, you name it. That's really the leftist plan. And that brings us to what I'm going to cover when we return. Paul Watson has put out a devastatingly important video that's on Infowars.com that everybody needs to retweet, where he lays out everything we've covered the last 2 weeks. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 German state-run TV children's programs teach children to convert to Islam and teach young girls to date adult Muslim men. And then it shows the men dating the teenage girls on television. And you've got Canada normalizing underage marriages if it's Muslims, and men having sex with little girls. If you're Muslim, it's okay. It's all coming up. The teenage brides straight ahead. In the last 24 hours, I have talked to some of the top industrialists in the world. I have talked to some of the top authors in the world, top journalists. I have talked to some of the top people currently and formerly in the Pentagon. And I have talked to some of the folks at the highest levels of the Central Intelligence Agency, you name it. And there is a direct move taking place globally, led by patriots in the United States, the UK, and Europe, to stop the globalist technocracy. The plan to set up a one-world government based on a cashless society with supercomputers controlling our everyday and setting up a world system that makes humans obsolete. The people fighting back against the globalists aren't heroes. They're survivalists. They're pro-human individuals that now understand that the wildest pipe dreams of the globalist 50 years ago, 60 years ago, of a one-world government were about to be realized, and that they really did plan to make the future of humanity obsolete in a wild dream that they're going to merge with machines. Elon Musk gave an in-depth interview to CNN that we're going to air clips of later in the broadcast, where he said everything I've said. There's a plan to destroy demographics in the West. There's a plan to collapse the world economy. There's a plan to bring in an anti-human technocracy. It is going to be a new dark age. The establishment wants this. We must stand against it. And Musk is working directly with patriots at the highest levels of the Pentagon and the president. I can tell you that. And I heard this years ago. I've now directly confirmed it. And I'm going to stop right there. But we are not living in a science fiction movie. We're living in science reality. And the future of our world's being decided right now. There is an anti-human, anti-woman, anti-man, anti-child, anti-family, anti-success system, a cultural virus that is designed to sabotage Western, open, egalitarian, liberal culture. Not modern liberal, that's the counterfeit, but classical Thomas Jeffersonian liberalism, which means true openness, true freedom. Low taxes, right to self-defense, right to live your life as you see fit as long as you don't hurt somebody else. And into that, they're sabotaging Western culture while bringing in 10 million military-age men into Europe the last 4 years and literally running TV advertisements to children saying, marry Muslim men, convert to Islam. Canada is basically, by fiat, letting Muslim men marry 9-year-olds. I've got stacks of the news here in front of me. Turkish state institution says girls can marry and get pregnant at 9. I want to air a Paul Joseph Watson report on this right now, ladies and gentlemen, the mass brainwashing of Germany, because Germany is the model for all of this and this takeover. And this video is on Infowars.com. It's on Newswars.com. I've retweeted it. Real Alex Jones. Retweet it. Hammer it. Because it condenses it all in together. Then when we come back, stock market at 26,000 as America comes roaring back from the dead like the mythical phoenix. And just incredible news across the board. A new missile alert. Another missile alert. Another ICBM alert that's false, but another one. That's coming up after the break. But first, Paul Joseph Watson's report.
So after Angela Merkel was dealt a stunning blow in the German elections, catapulting the right-wing AfD to become basically the primary opposition force in Germany, partly as a result of the disastrous policy of allowing millions of Muslim migrants to flood into the country, which Merkel herself admitted was a huge mistake after case of mass molestations, rape and sexual assault, after skyrocketing migrant crime figures, after numerous attempted and completed terrorist attacks. Germany must finally be taking strong action to halt the spread of Islamism within its culture, right?
Allah. Sag das mal. Allah.
Allah.
Oh.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. Weil ich jetzt Muslima bin.
What you just watched was a clip from a German public television soap opera where a mother converts to Islam in front of her son. Companies putting hijabi women in their ads is one thing, but a soap star literally telling her son that all children are Muslims takes it to another level. Here's another clip from German television depicting the normalization of the hijab.
Enjoy difference, start tolerance.
Another documentary broadcast on German public TV favorably presented a relationship between a 16-year-old German girl and an adult Syrian man. The Muslim migrant tells his girlfriend to dress modestly and consider converting to Islam. Meanwhile, public television is also set to broadcast a movie that depicts a family having to flee a collapsing Germany and seek refuge in Africa to escape a right-wing extremist government that persecutes Muslims. Following an Islamic terror attack by a Syrian migrant, Germany's Tele5 changed its logo to include an Islamic crescent. Germany's top public broadcaster ZDF admits that it censors information about rapes if they're committed by Muslim migrants. Germans are being told to learn Arabic, to not fly the German flag because it might offend migrants. migrants.
That's police telling them you're no German flags allowed in Germany. Just like the Ninth Circuit ruled no American flags on the West Coast.
German scientists have even proposed mass drugging the population with oxytocin, a drug that increases feelings of trust, so they feel more accepting of migrants. What we're witnessing in Germany is nothing less than the mass indoctrination of the population. This is a huge re-education program aimed at normalizing Islam. Germans are being trained that they need to assimilate to Islamic mores and cultural norms, not the other way round. This is why women are being told to travel in groups. This is why gender-segregated safe zones are being set up in major cities for major events. This is submission. This is total capitulation. The only pushback has been increased support for AfD, and stunts like this one, where a group plastered "it's okay to be German" signs across major cities. Maybe more Germans would feel free to speak out if they weren't being arrested for offensive social media posts. This is happening all across the entire continent of Europe. And the reason is quite simple. When a society loses faith in its culture, loses faith in its heritage, more aggressive doctrines, belief systems and cultures will rush in to fill the void. What's the end goal? The replacement of the population. Oh, don't take my word for it. Listen to the far-left politicians who proudly announce that very agenda.
Unsere Gesellschaft wird sich ändern. Unsere Stadt
Our
wird
society will change, our city will change radically.
Ich bin der Auffassung, dass wir in
20, 30 years will no longer be German majorities in our cities.
Mehrheiten mehr haben in unserer Stadt. Das ist das.
This will be what we will have in the future.
Und ich sage Ihnen noch ganz
And I
deutlich,
want to make it very clear, especially towards those right-wingers.
Gut so.
This is a good thing.
Skilled immigration, and I want Germany to remain Germany. Multiculturalism isn't about diversity, it's about power. It's about leftist political parties importing future generations of voters at the cost of the identity and security of their own country. If Germany was importing millions of Australians or Japanese, it wouldn't be anywhere near as big a problem. But you can't import millions of people who can't speak the language, are in many cases illiterate, and immediately go on welfare. People who follow a belief system that treats women as second-class citizens. People who are more prone to violent criminal behaviour, without that changing the fundamental nature of society. Is it any wonder Germany has now followed France in having its own migrant no-go zones? Is it any wonder that migrants were responsible for a 92% increase in reported violent crimes in Germany? Is it any wonder that German cities with the highest population of migrants also have the highest crime rates? Is it any wonder that female genital mutilation cases in Germany are soaring? Is it any wonder that honour killings are on the rise? Is it any wonder historic Christian churches are being demolished as mosques and Islamic centres multiply across the country? Is it any wonder terrorism cases in Germany have increased by more than 900% in 5 years, to the point where children's playgrounds have to be guarded by armed police? And what solution has Germany's grand coalition government offered to address all this? They're going to continue letting in 200,000 mostly Muslim migrants a year, every year, while mass brainwashing the German public that German culture no longer exists and that the Islamization of their society is natural, normal, and shouldn't be resisted. When the Stasi inflicted a reign of psychological terror on the German people, they achieved it via a combination of relentless propaganda and threats of arrest and internment for anyone who dared speak out.
You hate me, I hate you right back. But I don't do what I do because I hate people. I do it because I love my family, and I love justice, and I love civilization. And this is not where we're going. If you're a radio listener, I have on screen a photo of a 10-year-old girl married to the, 69-year-old tribal chief. That is a photo out of Afghanistan. And I've got the news articles right here. Canada, Turkey, you name it, are now moving to legalize adult Muslim men having 9-year-old wives. But, oh, it's their religious freedom. We must accept it. But a man talking to a full-grown woman or opening the door for her is a microaggression. Western culture is evil. Men need to let their wives get the degrees, and they need to stay home. You go into downtown Austin, that's what you see. And, again, it's total mental illness. It's not about empowering people. A well-known sheik in Canada with a large international following, was adamant that she was to be married and initiated the sponsorship process to bring her prospective husband over from the Middle East. And again, that is little girls. Anna was supposed to marry a man 3 times her age, but fled her family before they could make her say her vows. It's so rare to have the media even report on this, or when they do, they promote it as something good. If you just tuned in, we just aired a special report by Paul Joseph Watson, where not one, not two, but 4 different children's programs in Germany, state-run, tell children to convert to Islam. They have trips in England and in Germany and in Sweden where you go visit the mosque, not the church. You praise Allah in school, and then they show 14 and 15-year-old girls hugging and kissing their 25-year-old Muslim, so-called Syrian migrant boyfriend. That's called statutory rape. And if a German does it, he's going to prison. Super tight laws, total enforcement if a German wants to date a German younger. I mean, if you're 19, you date a 16-year-old, you're going to jail. Look it up. But if you're a Muslim, they have state-run TV saying, girls, if you want a man, because German men have been taught to be real passive and not to go out and pick, people up, even their own age. But the Muslim men are all over you, and the girls respond, and the parents are taught not to help them, and a lot of them end up getting shipped out of the country. It's very well known because no one in Europe will warn young women, don't get on an airplane with that guy promising you riches. He flies women out every couple months. I'm not particularly saying this guy, but that's a big business for the Muslims, is getting young girls and flying them out of the country. So, again, that's coming up. But first, Turkish state institution says girls can marry and get pregnant at age 9. Islamic religion body follows Muhammad's lead. Here's another one. Anger as underage migrant and controversial teen love children's documentary revealed as an adult. Teen love. But it's not showing a 25-year-old German. No, that's improper. Anger as underage migrant and controversial teen love children's documentary revealed as an adult. And here's the latest video. Pray to Allah. Kit Daniels wrote this story. Soap opera tells German kids Germans should convert to Islam. And he does convert to Islam on the video with his mother leading him and teaching him to do it. Netflix accused of glamorizing child sex trafficking with baby drama about children having sex and liking it. Inspired by a scandal in Rome in which teenage students from the city's wealthy district were said to have sold sex to buy designer clothes and mobile phones, glamorizing 14 and 15-year-old girls, turning themselves into prostitutes, priming the pump. Meanwhile, this is just breaking today. Facebook says group wanting to burn alive Christian mom meets community standards. She's joining us on Friday. A Facebook group wanting to burn alive a U.S. Christian pro-family activist who takes bold stances against feminism, political correctness, and the LGBT community doesn't go against community standards, according to Facebook. Conservative blogger Elizabeth Johnston, also known as the activist mommy, took umbrage when she found a Facebook group called I Will Find the Activist Mommy and Burn Whoever Runs It Alive. And Facebook says you are allowed to say that you're going to kill her. But no one else is allowed to even respond back or we'll ban you. Every Swedish household to receive guide on how to handle terrorist attacks. That's right. It'll be the first time since World War II. Right-wing Italian politician causes stir saying migrants wipe out white race. And the whole point is the UN, the globalists, the left say in all their speeches whites are bad, that this is being done to get rid of white people. Again, they're not trying to bring in populations from Latin America or somewhere else because Germans aren't having kids. They're bringing people in from Islamic countries, the very poorest, the very most dangerous, and telling them, we're going to convert to you. We're going to cut women's genitals off. We're going to throw gays off buildings. We're going to make women wear hijabs in public. That state-run German TV tells women, wear the hijab now. Children's programs tell little girls, do this. They show little boys converting to Islam because that's what we're supposed to do. Meanwhile, Emma Watson writes open letter apologizing for her white privilege. Emma Watson is not just crazy in the head. She's playing a role Hollywood elites want her to play. Sarah Sanders slams CNN's Chris Cuomo for referring to White House aide Raj, whatever his name is. That's not racist, even though I don't like Cuomo. But this is the mental illness where political correctness eats its own. Meanwhile, hospital horror as knifeman attacks patients in UK hospital, and the police have barred the religion of the individual being released, but he was screaming Allah Akbar. Meanwhile, every few days I see a new fake false flag where Muslims are attacked. There's all these fake movies and TV shows that show Muslims being attacked by evil Christians and evil Americans. But another one, hijab attack condemned by Canada's Prime Minister, was a hoax. An 11-year-old Toronto girl who claimed she was attacked because her hijab fabricated the story according to local police, and it goes on from there. Really, you think so? The whole leftist thing is about fabrication. And then, major security company that worked for years on House of Cards has now gone public saying he would not shake black people's hands, Kevin Spacey, and said, get the N-words off my set, and they were fired. And the reason I believe it is his brother's on record saying his father was a devil-worshipping Nazi who raped them all, and that he fought against it, but that Kevin converted to it. And Spacey is known for this. And again, you get around high-level leftists, man, they are the most racist, vicious people you've ever seen. And of course, Hitler said he thinks Germans should convert to Islam. Look that up. It's a very sick, sick group of people. And of course, Hitler was allied with Islam in World War II. But if you tweet that in Germany, you get arrested, even though there's photos and famous books written about it. We'll be back, though, with the latest. There was another ICBM red alert, false alert that just happened. Coming up, ladies and gentlemen, in the next segment, James O'Keefe, fresh off one of the biggest stories in the country, footage of top Twitter executives bragging about how they save your private naked photos and videos of you, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and they trade them on the dark web. It's just incredible how they revel in violating your privacy and your rights. It's all part of the sick leftist globalist culture that has created a super class that is above the law and censors and controls civilization. And they brag that they're bad, but not as bad as Google and not as bad as Facebook, which I agree. They're even worse. Zuckerberg says, you trust me? You're a dumb effer. Now, ladies and gentlemen, fresh off Saturday's 33-minute delay in telling the people of the Hawaiian Islands, our 50th state, that the nuclear attack announcements of an incoming North Korean ICBM missile was a false alarm. We now have Japan, just hours ago, issuing a false alarm over launch, days after Hawaiian alert. And reportedly, there's been a couple of these. Japanese public broadcaster NHK issued a false alarm saying North Korea appeared to have launched a missile on Tuesday and urged people to take shelter, but it managed to correct the error within minutes. It was sent out, again, of the EAS alert systems that our very own DARPA put in because the U.S. globalist backed system runs Japan, as everybody knows. The mistake took place at a tense time in the region following North Korea's largest nuclear test to date in September, and its claim in November that it had successfully tested a new type of intercontinental ballistic missile that could reach all of the U.S. mainland. North Korea regularly threatens to destroy Japan and the United States, Reuters reports, but there are no immediate reports of panic other than disruptions following the NHK report. A similar gaffe caused panic in the U.S. state of Hawaii over the weekend. Let's talk about this. They have at least 5 fail-safe systems on our main missile defense base on Kauai that then is the early warning system for the entire United States that's ground-based. Of course, the main systems are satellite-based. They've got interceptor missiles based there, you name it. And they've got the mobile units that are based there that then sail out to Asia that are now in South Korea. And those anti-missile systems Those defense systems are some of the best in the world, probably the best. But there's 5 layers of sign-offs before you activate the civilian alert system. So to say that, oh, someone accidentally did this is impossible. They're saying, oh, someone took credit for it, but they've been reassigned. They haven't gotten in trouble. That means someone fell on their sword. Something else happened here, ladies and gentlemen. And one thing you can do is not hack into the main system, but hack into the cell phone system of EAS that interfaces with it. Just like hackers don't hack into the main DMV at your state level and take over the signs on the highway and, you know, say silly things, or I mean that's happened hundreds of times that we know of, or say mean things, or you name it, or say, hey, hi, we're 4chan, hi, we're hackers, just to show the vulnerability. They don't hack into the main system. They hack into an individual road, an individual sign. And so that could also be what happened here. What we're being told is absolutely not true. And sure enough, media began to blame Trump and say that if we weren't in this crisis with North Korea, this wouldn't have happened. So it's Trump's fault. Simply incredible. And so we have to ask ourselves, why was MSNBC at the very missile base the day before doing a video report on the missile system in the room with the equipment? Just very, very strange that they're there covering it and then this happened. I'm not saying they're involved. I'm just pointing out that this is being blamed on the president. 2 weeks after Trump said we have a bigger red button than you do, following Kim Jong-un, the dictator of North Korea, coming out and saying to the world, I have a red button, I have a nuclear arsenal, I may destroy the United States at any time. Reuters actually gets it right here, where it says, North Korea regularly threatens to destroy Japan and the United States. That's in the article I just read. But our media normally, when they talk about Trump, don't add that. They just said Trump randomly came out and said, we've got a bigger nuclear arsenal than you do, and ours works. So why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? Why are they criticizing the president? Because it's any way to undermine this country. So finally, North Korea came out today and said, you're mentally ill. This is a spasm of mental illness by your president talking about your red button. In response to North Korea saying, Kim Jong-un saying in a speech, we have a nuclear button and we are preparing to preemptively blow up South Korea, Japan, and the U.S. We will destroy your entire countries. Everyone will be dead. Total destruction. Trump goes, okay, well, I wouldn't do that. We got a bigger button and it works. That's a very measured response. Our media ignores what Kim Jong-un says. They'll mention it as a footnote sometimes and just act like the president just randomly came out and did this. They act like the president just randomly hallucinated this. And then when the North Korean dictator responds, he follows suit with our media and says, you're crazy, you're insane. In fact, guys, pull up his exact quote, because I had it here in the stack. Pull up, North Korea finally responds to Trump's red button comment. And then it's got the quote. He says, you've had a spasm of insanity is the quote. You are insane. Trump needs to be removed. North Korean dictator directly lined up, ladies and gentlemen, with our media. Simply amazing. But if you look at who our media is and who the telecoms are and who the big internet companies are and who Silicon Valley is, Elon Musk has told you they're a bunch of crazy nihilists who think they worship this god of AI, and they've got their employees censoring everybody. They've got their employees saying, shut down InfoWars, shut down Project Veritas. They've got their employees running around insanely everywhere. And now James O'Keefe has done it again with Project Veritas, as he said he would do last Friday. They released the footage yesterday. We're going to go to break in a moment. But this is a big, big deal. We played clips yesterday of them bragging how they save your naked photos and videos, how they save them for their own personal use. And it's just the incredible culture of arrogance. He's also got his new book out that we'll also tell you about after this break we're about to go to. But there's the headline, Infowars.com. Hidden cameras capture hundreds of Twitter employees spying on everything. Now we take you to James O'Keefe. He just got in the chair. James, I see you've got the cover of the book behind you. Pravda, we're going to talk about that when we come back from break. We've only got a minute and a half.
Okay.
Wow, a huge breaking story of the Stasi wannabes over at Twitter.
Yeah, Alex, this is amazing. We actually have a senior network security engineer on tape saying there are hundreds of people at the company that mine through your personal direct text messages on Twitter. These sex messages, I don't send these, but many Americans send them to their girlfriend or wife. And they're saying that they store them in a database. This guy is talking about that. This is a senior level engineer talking about sharing these messages with your ex-girlfriends, illegitimate wives, using it in divorces. And Twitter has issued, Alex, they're taking this story very seriously. They just issued a statement last night to BuzzFeed. The mainstream media is paying attention now, and they're saying they're vehemently denying this, but they are also saying that a lot of the information is technically accurate in BuzzFeed's article. So a lot to talk about.
Wow, that's some amazing spin. How are they going to try to get out of this time?
Well, I mean, they're not going to be able to because the cracks are forming in the mainstream dam, Alex. People like Glenn Greenwald, who broke the Ed Snowden story, he's looking at this now. It's a privacy issue. It's not a right-wing issue, and it's not a conspiracy theory because they're on tape saying it. They said, well, Keith claims. I'm not the one who made the claim. The senior network security engineer hired by the CEO of Twitter is saying in yesterday's video, which was the banner of Drudge Report, by the way, I think it's still up there, and he says that we have 400 people at the company, which mine through your
This is beyond 1984. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, James O'Keefe of Project Veritas is our guest. They've got the new book, just came out today, American Pravda, My Fight for Truth in the Era of Fake News. James O'Keefe, best-selling author of Breakthrough. You can get that, again, at bookstores everywhere, Project Veritas. James, where's the best place for people to get American Pravda?
I don't want to give Bezos the traffic. Maybe BarnesandNobles.com. You know, it's all the proceeds actually go to our nonprofit organization. It's being donated, so it's a great book. You know, Alex, I'll just say one thing about this book real quick. George Orwell said in 1984 that the party, the opposition, the state, does not want you to believe the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their most essential command. And at Veritas, we want you to believe the evidence of your eyes and ears. We want you to trust your own judgment, common sense. So we give people actual video and audio tape that contradicts narratives. In this book, it talks about the triumph and tragedies of our team, which takes on the deep state, which crosses the Rio Grande River in disguise, and the DHS detains us. The government detains me at the borders. It's an amazing read. It reads like a spy thriller novel, and it's a required reading in journalism schools one day. I guarantee you that.
James, looking at this current climate that we're in right now and looking at the massive admitted censorship that nobody has exposed more than Project Veritas. WikiLeaks has also shown the coordination between the deep state, the Democrats, and mainstream media. And now they're openly intensifying the censorship, and then you catch them admitting they're censoring. Let's get back into the fallout, and we'll get more into the book. And I want to have you back up for 30, 40 minutes as soon as this latest firestorm's over so we can really drill into the book itself, and I want to sell it as well as InfoWarsStore.com. I want to buy a couple thousand copies because it's so important for people to understand the history of what's been unfolding to know why you've been so successful as a blueprint for others. But separately, bombshell undercover video, Twitter engineers admit censoring conservatives. That was last week. This week, they admit they're spying and saving your messages. And then I've noticed that whenever your stories are trending, they block them. So they're also trying to censor this. I mean, let's get into the rest of the story here.
Well, Alex, the latest response from Twitter is alarming. Twitter corporate issued a statement. I got it in front of me. I'm going to read it. Twitter disputes these claims to BuzzFeed, quote, "We do not proactively review DMs, period," unquote, contradicting the statements made by the employees. However, BuzzFeed reported Twitter did not answer questions about the number of employees who have such access or the specifics or precautions it takes to protect sensitive user data. One Twitter employee told BuzzFeed, quote, "What O'Keefe reported is, quote, technically accurate to a degree, but exaggerated for effect by drunk idiots." That's their latest statement. So they're calling their own people idiots for telling the truth. Again, these employees are telling the truth, and it's not my claim, Alex. I'm not the one making these claims. I just show people in their own words. I use their own words and their own tapes. But this is an extraordinary story, Alex. It's 3 videos, censorship, shadow banning, and I think all your users now know what that means. It means that when you tweet out to your followers, that the engineers can create algorithms using keywords like redneck and American flag to specifically censor or mute what you tweet so that your followers don't see it. You think that they're seeing it. They're actually not. They're on tape explicitly saying this is what they do. Big story, and the cracks in the media dam are now breaking.
And central to this is how Google, Facebook, Twitter, CNN, MSNBC, in the past they would cover when you blew Acorn wide open or all the other feats and exploits, against these tyrants. But now they pretty much ignore you, or they just throw out a few lies about you and then disregard what you've actually done, the huge stories. But because of Drudge, because of InfoWars, because of Veritas, because of all the platforms we have, because of all the listeners and viewers that hand share the information, the videos still get millions and millions and millions and millions of views. And now that's why they're moving with their so-called net neutrality that Obama put in to try to block and shut down our sites themselves. We've even had the Democrats on the Federal Elections Commission say we should all be shut down because we're political and our speech needs to be regulated, violating the First Amendment. So if it wasn't for Trump right now, if we had Hillary in, she admitted that they were going to go ahead to the next level of not just blocking us on Facebook, Twitter, Google, and those platforms, but actually coming to shut us down ourselves.
Well, Alex, there's a whole chapter in this book, American Pravda, about the history of propaganda. And this F.A. Hayek, an Austrian economist, said that if it doesn't fit the narrative, they want to prohibit information that is not the official party line. The word party is like a metonym for government or state or deep state or establishment. If the information goes outside of the ordained propaganda narrative, it shouldn't be allowed. And the engineer in the tape is a remarkable videotape. It shows 9 engineers, one of them says, quote, "We want to ban a way of talking." So they literally want to censor ideas. You may say, well, Twitter's a private company. They can do what they want. Well, to a degree, but these companies are kind of work with the government hand in hand. And also, by the way, users should know what they're signing up for. Twitter bills itself as the public town square, the electronic town square. And they should be honest with people. Alex, progressive muckrakers used to go after private corporations. Upton Sinclair exposed the meat packing industry. Chicago Sun-Times would go into these city halls, government bureaus. Journalism used to be a thing. But nowadays, when you do it, you're maligned and attacked, and every single one of these attacks is a badge of honor. I think you're the tip of the spear, because thanks to people like you and Hannity and other people who actually call for comment and report this stuff, you shame the mainstream media. I'm not saying the mainstream media is powerless. They have the ability to humiliate, shame, and target members of Congress, Republicans. People are afraid of what they can do, the scarlet letter that they brand on your forehead. They call you a racist. They call you names. Alex, I think those names, every single one of them, is a badge of honor. And if nothing else, I have to sort of tell people, don't be afraid. It's okay. Just keep going, keep trucking along. As Churchill said, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. And we'll continue, we will do, because there are more videos inside Twitter coming.
And by the way, one big problem that conservatives, libertarians, patriots have is we are rugged individualists. At least we're shooting for that. We don't want to be SJWs. And we don't tend to really complain or whine or jump up and down like they do. But imagine if the left was being censored like this. Imagine if college campuses were saying this weekend no blacks are allowed on campus like Evergreen, or if a professor says that's racist, they then get fired. And it's not even black people running this. It's the left trying to invoke racial divide, as the WikiLeaks say. They go, we got to go to culture war. They're in there calling their own constituents desperate baristas living in their mother's basements, and they want to keep them in their mother's basements. And here's the stock market at 26,000. Because Trump's just taken off some of the controls. Here's jobs coming back, the lowest black unemployment ever recorded. And you would think that Trump, who used to get awards from NAACP, was lynching black people. I mean, it's just to see them go from a 10 on the Richter scale to like a 15, and to see the fake news go from insane to cartoon level, I'm wondering how much further are they going to go, James O'Keefe?
Well, Alex, it's like this quote from the White House, which is a single-sourced quote from a Democrat who has political motivations, and there's no audio-video evidence of it. Now, I don't know whether it was said or not, but what I do know is a quote in the Washington Post. Follow the logic here, because this is about as illogical and irrational as you can get. It says, quote, "There's no evidence to suggest that he did not say these things." Well, what the heck is that? There's no evidence to suggest that he didn't say it? Well, Veritas has evidence, audio, video evidence of 9 Twitter engineers actually saying that they have hundreds of people that mine your private sext messages to your wife and girlfriend, that they shadow ban people for being patriots. I mean, this is a propaganda war, Alex. And by the way, identity politics and hysteria and all this crap, the one way to break through those narratives is to expose facts, is to put video into the ether and shame them. They can be shamed. There still is a degree of shame in their hearts. We just have to expose it and outrage the people, because journalism used to be about afflicting the comfortable and comforting the afflicted, and now the establishment comforts the powerful. And it's incumbent upon us, you and me and your audience, to do the job. American Pravda tells the story, and it's a fascinating story to tell. It tells the story of what is required to do it.
Well, please come back next week for a longer interview. We're going to drill into American Pravda. If it's the last thing I do, we're going to carry the book at InfoWarsStore.com. But everybody should get the book today and should give it to their friends and family, should read it, should also donate it to the local library, should donate it to local journalism schools, because this is real journalism. Journalists now want to be celebrities, and the establishment puts them up there on TV as long as they play along. And so they're not journalists. They are political hacks. You're engaging in original journalism, true investigative journalism, point-blank range, their own words, and it shows an arrogant, hateful culture, and a new superclass of these technocrats that are trying to rule over flyover country while peddling racism and sexism and all this garbage. So James O'Keefe, we salute your amazing work. Can't wait to, when's the next bomb going to drop?
We've got more videos, maybe tomorrow. Today, the book launches today. So I'm going on all these interviews promoting the book, Alex. So I think the best thing your audience can do to help today is go online and purchase American Pravda.
That's right. Great job. We'll be back. Thank you so much, James O'Keefe. Stay with us. A bunch of other guests I haven't told you about. All right, folks, coming up, Millie Weaver has really knocked it out of the park with the rest of the crew, putting together something that I don't know how to describe it. It's very important. It's on Infowars.com. The title is This Is Your Last Chance. And it just is very well produced. It's beyond something you'd see on Discovery Channel or History Channel, getting into the mind control of the globalists. So that's coming up. Then we've got a bunch of other special guests. I'm just going to leave it at that, coming up today. But right now, let's go ahead and go to this John Bound report. World War III looms over the 2018 Winter Olympics.
Hawaii Representative Tulsi Gabbard revealed the panic experienced by her constituents after the questionable events surrounding a nuclear missile drill that terrified Hawaiians for 38 long minutes.
The father, who had 2 kids who were in different places on the island, and he had in those seconds to make a decision about which of his children he was going to go and spend the last minutes of his life with.
But I wasn't going to shoot a video or live report today because we didn't have enough information. Then I began to get calls from my CIA sources, my high-level Army intelligence sources, and analysis from my Delta Force sources, and just many others, that there is no way that this was an accident and that somebody pushed the wrong button, because there's 5 fail-safes. These are not computerized systems. They get computerized readings, but then humans have to flip off or on 5 switches to then manually activate the alerts. Then I get some more phone calls, and they're like, why aren't you covering this? This is huge. This is gigantic. This is meant to embarrass Trump. This is meant to destabilize things, and it's meant to distract from the fact that there were uranium-1 indictments that it turns out came out yesterday that nobody noticed, that broke today. Those are on Infowars.com with people connected to the Clintons. The indictments have happened. And also that there was reportedly, evidence shows, a second shooter in Vegas in the new FBI search warrants. And that indeed, as our hostage rescue team sources and the FBI told us the day after it happened, that what we broke on air from our sources is exactly what's in those, and that he was an arms dealer, and it was an arms deal gone bad.
Meanwhile, all eyes are on Pyeongchang, South Korea, as the 2018 Winter Olympics begin on February the 9th. Will North Korea's presence at the Winter Olympics via their athletes and North Korea's answer to the Spice Girls open an opportunity for North Korea to put their guard down and come to the table, or will it all spiral out of control?
Well, we hope it won't happen again, but part of it is that people are on edge, but maybe eventually we'll solve the problem so they won't have to be so on edge.
Have you communicated with Kim Jong-un? Can you clear up your comments?
Well, we'll see what happens. They have a couple of meetings scheduled, a couple of additional meetings scheduled. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it's all going to work out. We will see.
Have you talked directly to him, Mr. President?
Well, the Wall Street Journal, as you know, quoted totally wrong. But we're going to see what happens with North Korea.
But Kim Jong-un continues to move forward with more tests despite international sanctions. Reuters reports foreign ministers from around 20 nations gather on Tuesday to discuss how to curb North Korea's nuclear ambitions through diplomatic and financial pressure. But China, seen as a key player in any long-term solution, will be absent. The panic in Hawaii should remind everyone of the razor's edge we are all tap dancing on under the threat of nuclear war. Fortunately, a majority of North Korea's longer-range missiles are still in development, but how long before they become fully operational? John Bound reporting for Infowars.com.
Melly Weaver joins me for the next two segments, and then we've got one of the top guys on Facebook, Adam Calhoun, joining us to talk about the intensified censorship that's happening by the globalists. Now, people are fighting back because they can shut us off with political correctness online. It's going to happen to everybody physically on the ground next. But Millie and Gavin Wentz and some other members of the crew have spent weeks putting together this important 13, 14-minute video report that's on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, and that everybody needs to watch and retweet. Because, look, I know most of you are really awake to how things are going and how things are unfolding and the manipulation that is taking place out there. But it's important to understand the globalist perspective and how they're manipulating people and just some of the ways that they're doing this. So this is powerful for radio, but it's really powerful for folks that are watching us on television right now or people that go actually watch the videos. But again, it's called Are You Awake? This is your last chance. Because people that have been manipulated by the globalist, they really are being lied to. And they really do think that they're in the right and that we're wrong, and they've been programmed to literally turn away from the information, even though they are the victims. And the globalists at Facebook, at Twitter, they've all gone public and said, we are victimizing you, we are programming you, and leftist modern SJW is our main attack profile. So tell us about this amazing report and the lady you interviewed for it.
Well, you know, the millennials, the SJWs, were created by this massive mind control system that's pertinent and present in movies, television, music, and especially the mainstream media. So this video really goes down in there and reveals to those who are still under the blue pill, and even those who want to learn more and kind of venture more down that rabbit hole, for those who have been red pilled to an extent, this video is going to wake people up. So it's important that you guys share it, get it out there, share it with your friends that are blue pilled, and hope that they will see the message here, because it really gets in some Inception Matrix type philosophical debates.
And this is only part one. This is only part one.
Yeah, we're going to be continuing to do this work because it needs to be done.
And again, I want to be clear. All of us see through rose-colored darklies. None of us are perfect. But we're not setting out to manipulate people. We're not setting out to put subliminals in things. We're also programmed by it, though. We all tend to do it because we've all been taught it. But tell us about this individual lady, because I've seen her bio. We ought to hire her. She's got a whole bunch of backgrounds in Hollywood, in the media, in production, and she just goes all over Austin showing you the incredible subliminals.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all, we're going to crush the truth. We're going to enslave you. I mean, it really shows the attitude of the advertising core, and the people that the establishment have hired are really hateful.
Well, Elizabeth Everett is her name. She's amazing. She's been a longtime InfoWars listener and supporter, and she has a lot of expertise in neurolinguistic programming, hypnotism, and this whole mind control system that we're seeing in place here. So she walks around and she gives a tour of the town and shows how everywhere we are, we're surrounded by suggestion, hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming. So you can't actually be too mad and upset at these mindless zombie drones.
They've been put into a trance.
Realize, yes, they have been put into a trance.
You can pull up hundreds of studies, just type it in. TV lowers IQ, TV lowers brainwaves. Heavy TV and video game watchers are in a trance state, and they're admittedly in a trance state. Those of us that are awake, it's actually irritating for us. Those in a trance, when you watch them, they're literally in a trance. There's white papers, government documents. They admit all of this. This is not our opinion. And that's why the Prozac, the fluoride, the German government wants to put drugs in the water. That's mainstream news to make people accept the Islam takeover. That was in the news today. We covered it last hour to get you into a lowered, suggestible, hypnotic state, a suspended disbelief. Just like you suspend disbelief when you get heavily into a movie. If the room's dark and you're all focused, that's a form of hypnotism with the flickering light.
That's right.
So again, that's what they're doing. Let's go ahead and start airing part of this now. Such an important video. Great job to you and the whole team. And I want to
thank you.
I want to get this lady involved, get her part of the team. Let's go ahead and go to this video. And the visuals are amazing. Not really tailored for radio, but here we go. With the Matrix controller behind the scenes.
Are you awake? Are you really awake? How do you know you're awake?
My millennials, stay woke!
This is your last chance. After this, that's where the story ends. If you take the blue pill, you'll wake back up in your bed. Believe whatever it is you want to believe. Back to the world of fake news, social media echo chambers, Hollywood smoke and mirrors, self-aggrandizement, Botox and boob jobs. Or come with us and take the red pill and see really how far the rabbit hole really goes. Hollywood is a system, and that system is our enemy. When you're inside it and you look around, what do you see? You see actors, celebrities, models, singers, directors, producers. Those people are not ready to be unplugged from the system. All the controllers and those that protect that illusion, they are our enemies because they will fight and do everything in their power to protect that system. We're trying to open your mind. I can only show you the truth, but you have to want it.
What are we looking at here?
Well, this is obvious in your face, persuasion, basically. Usually everything is a little more mellifluous and seductive. So usually there's a subliminal persuasion going on, often like what you see in the film They Live. Obey, consume, submit. And this is really just in your face. But you're going to see on ads, you're going to see in the news, you're going to see in entertainment, video games. Usually something will be enmeshed. In your conscious mind will be directed to look at one thing, while over here, something is being seeded into a person's subconscious, usually directly going into the limbic system. So the limbic system is usually where past experiences are given new writing. So you can rewrite over old information, so new programs can happen. Often this is something to do with a base feeling, a base drive, internal instinct to survive and replicate. So it's all these subtleties at play that people need to learn the languaging of our representational systems of our senses.
The girl in the red dress, just walking by you now.
Most people aren't willing to be unplugged. Are you listening? Or are you looking at the lady in red?
What is real? How do you define real? The secrets are in the subtleties. Do you know how to read the subtext? Are you a student of discernment? Do you have a sovereign mind?
Do you want this?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wide awake, and I'll snap. Or I'll do a little mental snap. This is one of the things that I do to bring myself back out of that programmable state, back into full awareness and non-suggestibility.
Hey, are you aware of subliminal messaging being used in movies and television?
Sorry. What's your problem?
Often I see this in the news a lot when someone's really trying to fix in some sort of concept. They'll actually use an anchoring hand gesture, right? So someone will be talking about something and they'll say, yeah, I see what you're saying, but that's not the issue at hand here. So they'll use some sort of anchoring gesture, and this is one of the things that they'll do.
So if Trump is doing this ever so often as an anchoring...
We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us. Again, if you're a radio listener, it's powerful. But if you're watching, the crew here that hadn't seen this special report that our crew put together are like, man, this is like better than HBO. Are you awake? This is your last chance. And these are the admitted tactics, okay? This lady has worked in Hollywood, worked in big movies, worked in television. Her bio is huge. I've got it. We have another Hollywood whistleblower that actually did the computer morphing, who's worked on some of the biggest movies and biggest hip-hop music videos, you name it. So it's beyond photoshopping. It's subliminals. It's changing the bodies. It's making it all look impossible. So they don't just Photoshop photos. They Photoshop videos, and the whole thing's fake. They've got certain flicker rates that they've tested that they admittedly put in to mesmerize you. It is just incredible. And once they've got you, they've got you.
And you might wonder, well, why not just find someone with a perfect body? Or why not just find some singer with a perfect, flawless voice? Well, see, it's a way of also controlling the people that operate within their system. They give somebody like Taylor Swift power, right? So why have somebody that could go off on their own? It's a way of a means of controlling the people that they put up on a pedestal so that if they break from the system, oops, you were caught lip singing on stage, or oops, it was leaked, your photoshopped photo shoot or your video, the raw edit of it. They've done that with Madonna's stuff before.
And that's all super important. The big thing is the subliminals that you guys find in Austin just in this short video. It should become a weekly special just to show subliminals on television, but also on the street. Let's go to more of the report, then we'll come back in the next segment and talk more about it, Millie. This is simply riveting. The video has been tweeted out on Real Alex Jones. I'm going to have it tweeted out on Paul Watson's Twitter as well. Please retweet it. Are you awake? This is your last chance. Everybody needs to see this video.
So if Trump is doing this ever so often as an anchoring point, what do you think they're trying to do when they're trying to claim, that the liberal media is trying to claim that this is a white supremacist symbol?
It's not. But literally, it keeps building and building and building the filing system that people have around that symbol, so that eventually when that comes up, people get triggered, and suddenly these people who aren't aware of all that subtextual commanding that's going on suddenly just are angry, and they feel like they have to do something, and they have to act out, and they've got to make the change. You know, it's literally everybody's walking around like Manchurian candidates at this point, completely unaware of why they're feeling what they're feeling. And literally, it's their subconscious that's being played like an instrument. So what's happening here is that there's a couple dynamics going on in the peripheral. So you're being seated with the idea of peace and love, and this is what Austin's about. But then also look over there to the left. the boot with the crown is stepping on the truth, right? So it's all these little subtle
Look at that.
tells.
It's right there.
Her back door.
And this is an advertisement outside of Google.
Is literally the back door.
This is Google saying we step on the truth.
We're standing on the truth,
Yeah.
aren't we? Peace and love, you guys. So here's Google, putting across its message. One of the most interesting tells of behavior modification and subliminal persuasion or mental engineering that we saw demonstrated recently was from our favorite fake news channel, CNN, with their, do you remember the Facts First ad?
This is an apple. Some people might try to tell you that it's a banana.
They're using perfect Saul Alinsky tactics, which is to accuse their opponents of the very thing that they're guilty of. And so literally, they've got covert hypnosis that they're using on the audience, which is conversational hypnosis.
They might scream banana, banana, banana over and over and over again.
They'll say something like, you might even start to believe that it's a banana.
You might even start to believe that this is a banana. But it's not. This is an apple.
It figures it would be something like this.
And on a deeper level, they're obfuscating the information around what is true, what is false, and it connects back to, they literally ripped the information off from a very, very viral video on 9/11 called "This is an Orange."
This is an orange. If you were told it was something else, you wouldn't believe it, would you? This building is about to be destroyed in what is called a controlled demolition. Buildings do not do this spontaneously. This is World Trade Center 7 just before it collapsed on September the 11th, 2001. What does it look like to you? So the question is, do you believe what you can see with your own eyes, or do you believe what you are told?
What they're teaching in that original video is that what we were fed as the official narrative is so far out and delusional and insane that if you actually look with your own eyes about World Trade Center number 7 and how it fell into its own footprint. But no, you have to believe via cognitive dissonance, what we tell you. Oh, and 20 minutes after the fact of it being reported on both BBC and I think another channel.
Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse,
As you can see behind me, the Trade Center appears to be still burning.
We are getting information now that one of the other buildings, Building 7, in the World Trade Center complex, is on fire.
But it was still standing.
Has either collapsed or is collapsing.
So the fact that CNN recently spun with this ad, this is an apple, to try to seed, their true news. Because, of course, Trump has been coming out, calling them out for what they are. They're known time and time and time again to create false propaganda and pretend that it's something real.
So essentially what they're doing there with this Apple banana commercial is they're trying to suggestively reinforce the viewer's trust in them as a credible news source, while at the same time trying to get the viewer to lose trust for organizations that they label as fake news.
Yes, and it's all about distraction and confusion.
And then they just simply input subliminals and trigger points to make people trust them, so that whenever they have that confused feeling inside, they just revert back to trusting their trusted news provider, which is CNN, ABC, whatever.
These people with their biased belief systems literally will not see what you're showing them. They will cover it over.
Well, that's very interesting, because we were in the middle of downtown Austin, and this is a very liberal blue city. So let's actually go out and see if we can talk to some of these people and see how they react. Okay, let's talk to them.
All right, let's stop right there.
Hey, ladies.
We got another guest joining us, but he's going to talk about some of the similar topics. So we're going to come back and finish the last minute or two of this, where they go, you're fake news, you're with Alex Jones, you're InfoWars, F you. And if you look at how the crowds are walking, they're like total zombies. And then they see the InfoWars flag and they begin to just flip out. But the point is they are being programmed.
They're being triggered. Which means
Sean Parker said it. He said, we have literally, with psych warfare, programmed these people.
That's right.
Into these triggerable jellyfish.
Oh, yeah, you better believe it.
I mean, they admit they did this to them. It's hurting us, too. But these are the most susceptible victims. These are victims. We'll be back. Hey, that's a lot better, isn't it? Adam Calhoun with over 500 million views just on his Facebook alone. They call him the blue-collar hero. He's going to be joining us about 5 minutes to the next hour. Millie Weaver's going to be riding shotgun with me. And then we've got the owner of Spike's Tactical coming here, the Pipe Hitters Union, and other people talking about veterans getting ready to counter Antifa if they try to go out and kill cops and trigger martial law, which we now have from internal Soros documents that we broke last week that they've not denied. So we're going to be going over those the next hour, and their full-page ads calling for overthrowing the president and all the rest of it. Well, we're going to be talking to Spike's Tactical owner and also the folks from Pipe Hitters.
I wonder if that's going to be linked to anything with these upcoming women's marches and impeach Trump marches.
Oh, yeah, that's who runs the whole deal.
20th.
That's them, yeah.
So do you think that we might see some violent Antifa stuff?
Well, I mean, that's their plan. So we're going to be covering that next hour. Now, I'm going to finish up with a special report that you've got up on Infowars.com. Are you awake? This is your last chance. And it's only been uploaded to YouTube. We're going to put it on Facebook right now. And we're going to put it on other platforms so that it can go super viral. Are you awake? This is your last chance. And again, it gets in the subliminals, the programming, how they admittedly put people in a trance. And then an expert goes around, and Hollywood whistleblowers also show us the documents of how they do this. So let's finish up the clip and then go to our next guest. Here is Millie Weaver on the ground breaking all this down.
Do you guys trust CNN? Do you watch CNN?
Sure, yeah.
You do? What do you guys think about Infowars?
No, I don't know. Sorry.
No? Do you think that 9/11 was an inside job?
Tough question. I don't know.
Why are you so uncomfortable?
Because sorry.
You were just telling us about how whenever you ask them something that goes against their programming, they get really discomforted and anxious and they don't know what to do.
A psychological alarm will be triggered, literally, that they have to escape.
So let's see who else we can talk to. Do you guys trust CNN?
Infowars doesn't fit into their indoctrinated belief system. Therefore, they'll either ignore it, throw it out, or attack it. Core psychological, intrinsic stuff. Anything that threatens that core, they'll fight.
Do you think CNN's real news?
No, thank you. No comment.
Well, actually, it depends. You get rid of Donald Trump, maybe it becomes real news.
Do you think CNN is real news or fake news?
Real news.
Why do you think it's okay to, like, say cuss words at me?
Infowars, what is that? That sounds like fake news.
Are you a child?
Are you an adult or are you a child? Cussing someone out seems like something a teenager would do.
Harassing.
Off is cussing somebody out.
So, do you think 9/11 was an inside job?
Do you?
Yes.
девочка?
Oh, you speak Russian. You have more relations to Russians than me, that's for sure.
Пока.
Oh, wow.
So that literally was a perfect case in point demonstration of what we were just discussing. People will absolutely fight to stay in the matrix. They will absolutely fight. If anything in their core personality feels threatened, they will attack you.
Unfortunately, no one can be told what the illusion is. You have to see it for yourself.
And I noticed as they're walking by saying F you, there's the Google mural with a boot stepping on the truth. And it's right in your face. Millie Weaver rides shotgun with us. Again, Adam Calhoun, fans describe him as the blue-collar hero. He's from south side of Chicago, raising his son alone. Adam has had a rough past and was in prison for a year, but now uses his motivation and content for making videos and music. For Middle America, he is unapologetically patriotic, loves President Trump, and doesn't believe in handouts. And he's at facebook.com/Adam Calhoun 13 and Snapchat Adam Cal 13. And he joins us now to get into the state of what's happening, the intensified censorship on Facebook, Twitter, Google, the culture war they're trying to launch. Where would you say we are right now in America and worldwide? What is the state of the fight right now?
In America, I think our country is more divided than it's ever been in my lifetime. And I talked to my father, and he says the same thing. He thinks that it's more divided than he ever saw in his lifetime. And also racism, racial things are at an all-time high, probably since the Civil War, in my opinion.
And why is that? Undoubtedly, I mean, you look at mainstream media, they are like invoking absolute race war. I mean, that's in these. Have you seen these Antifa documents that came out where they were trying to start martial law for Obama and a race war in 2015?
You know what? Antifa to me is a joke. They're just, I think these are people that are on the internet that are trolls that just mustered up just barely enough courage to get out from behind their computer screens and get outside. And I don't think they really do pose a threat. I think it's more of a joke, honestly. To anyone that's a real American, those guys won't stand a chance against any type of military or any organized, like, militia.
I think you're right, Adam, because really and truly, every time Antifa goes out and riots in the streets, it actually helps Trump. He goes up in the polls. So Antifa is the gift that keeps on giving. What's more concerning is these SJWs and the liberals that are buying into all of the propaganda in the media.
And that's another thing. The media only shows you what they want the world to see. So they pin us against each other and divide us and things like that. I think Barack Obama, he was our president, and I think he did some good things. But I think one of the main things he did do was divide our country very heavily.
Well, that was the main mission, and I agree that the Antifa on average is about a 23-year-old meth head that's been playing World of Warcraft and now is going out, you know, trying to LARP, live-action role play in the real world.
Yeah, your common Antifa soldier is a kid that never left his mom's basement, and they play video games, and yeah, now they think it's real life. Well, the thing that they don't understand, in real life, when you go out into the real world and you say what you want to say, you have that freedom, that right to say that, but you also have to understand when you say what you want to say, there might be people who disagree, and you have to suffer the reaction, the repercussions of that, which could be physical. And that's the part that they don't want. They're not willing to die for what they stand for.
Well, that's where I was going with this. They're just the front group, the trigger for Soros, the globalist, all this Linda Sarsour garbage. And if you read their own documents from Friends of Democracy that funded this, they admit they're just basically actors they've hired, or thugs that want to do this. They're the cover for the excuse to try to set off race riots nationwide to then create a real crisis. And I agree they're failing. So what are they going to do as their whole plan fails?
If this is something that's just going to, Antifa, I made a funny video mocking Antifa. They really don't even know how to use guns, weapons, anything like that. They have no type of training. And when this does fail, which it will kind of just putter out to anything, just like Black Lives Matter movement. It has nothing backing it, nothing that makes sense backing it. It's just something that misguides people. So it'll just kind of fade into the background and won't ever be talked about again. It's something that's going to be very short-lived.
Well, I mean, I agree with that. How are they going to spew racism garbage when Trump's actually targeted black areas for new factories and jobs, and black unemployment's the lowest it's ever been only 1 year into his presidency? That's real money, real independence versus the left's BS. I mean, how is that dog going to hunt?
That's what I'm saying. They literally have nothing to do. They have nothing that is concrete that they can stand on. So instead of doing that and speaking the truth, they say that's the video. They scream and they yell and they pout and they whine and they stomp their feet because they're used to getting their way so much. Well, they're not getting their way now. President Trump is your president, just like Barack Obama was our president. And we went from one extreme now kind of to another extreme. And we have to find a happy medium as Americans. I don't know. I like extreme success, extreme winning. I want to keep going to more of the other extreme. We'll be right back. Stay with us. And how is the establishment going to shut down InfoWars or Matt Drudge or anybody else that just wants to have basic freedom or President Trump when you can have somebody just on the air a few years like Adam Calhoun with 500 million+ views and just destroying mainstream media?
Well, they're going to try to censor us, and I haven't talked to him yet on air, but I can guess they've been trying to curtail or block what he's doing because it's happening to everybody else that tries to promote freedom. You know, I haven't plugged anything yet today, but that's how we fund our operation. It's how we meet like-minded people. We're launching something called Shirt of the Month, where it's a limited edition, high-quality shirt, only available for 1 month. You can buy itself for $19.95 or get 25% off. There's no reviews yet because it just gets launched today. It's the red version of the best-selling yellow version we've got that says "Won't Tread on Me" with the American flag on the right shoulder and the Gadsden flag snake. It's got little Infowars.com on the back. Or I guess this version doesn't. So this is a one-off, one-time, 1 month, and you can sign up for Shirt of the Month, cancel anytime, and get every new shirt each month mailed to you. And these are really nice fabric, high quality. It takes a lot of money to fund this operation and all the reporters and what we're ramping up. So please, if you want to help us each month, go sign up for the Shirt of the Month. Cancel anytime. Infowarsstore.com or 888-253-3139. But getting back to Adam Calhoun. Adam, you were getting into Trump's one extreme. You know, Obama had a lot of great rhetoric to get in. But once he got in, you know, created division, all the rest of it. When you say, I don't disagree with you, but Trump's another extreme. What, extreme success? 2 million new jobs, hundreds of billions in new investment every month, 26,000 on the stock market, increasing pay for the troops. I mean, what do you make of Trump when you say he's extreme?
When I say we went from one extreme to the other, we went from Obama era, which was, I feel like these people are used to getting handouts, not learning how to go out and work and earn something. And that's how it's been for a long time in this country, especially in poverty. Poverty breeds more poverty. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yes.
And now we go to another extreme to where now Trump is giving us our guts back, our core back, making people, Americans, feel proud to be Americans again. Not afraid to get out there and get our hands dirty.
He's trying to end the demoralization that mainstream media has been pushing.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's okay if you can't get a job and the government supports you and hardworking people support you. That's okay. Well, that's over with now. It's time to stand up on your own, and it's time to go out and what this country is all about is going out and making something of yourself. That's what it is.
By the way, who did that painting of Trump behind you?
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's my good friend, Matt. He's a local painter in the town that I live in, and I think he really just paints things on purpose that he knows I'll buy.
We should talk to Matt because one-off art stuff is this plan I've had that I know will fund our operation to the next level. I've never done, but take something like, people like limited edition, say 2,000 of those. Glossy limited edition.
Wow.
And so we should talk because that is a particular look of Trump that I've never really seen, but it captures, I think, his spirit. So your buddy is an incredible artist.
He is. He's amazing.
So I've been asking questions. Millie, you want to, or just jump in here, Adam, because I want to have you back soon, do a whole full hour, get a whole bunch of issues. But what else is on your radar screen?
I'm doing a lot of stuff. I mean, as you know, Facebook, I think Facebook's on the decline, and that's because people I think are getting sick of in their newsfeed just seeing what Facebook wants to push down your throat. I get censored a lot, but I still manage to get millions of views on my videos. But I think it's because I have such a strong audience that they really push for that. But Facebook, I'm leaning away from Facebook. I have my own app coming out that's going to talk about topics that I want to talk about, and it's going to have a lot of different medias on there that you can work with. So I'm working on my own app, and I'm just going to keep doing. I'm going to keep seeing what I see in the world and putting my take on it with a little bit of humor. Because let's be honest, people from the far left, people from the far right, or just Democrats, Republicans, you can't agree. Everyone disagrees with everybody, but at the end of the day, we are all Americans.
Well,
and
Adam, I think it's so important what you're doing. Just another voice out there, because we are being censored. All of the conservatives that have tried to stand up and speak out against the lies and disinformation that the fake news media has been perpetually putting out. It's great to see more people out there doing that. And more on what you were talking about, Alex, about how is it that they're saying Trump has divided the nation when he has done all of this to bring the nation together? Well, he's not dividing the nation. It's clear. The mainstream media is dividing dividing the nation by telling lies, blatant.
Well, that's my next point, and I get Adam Calhoun's trying to be positive, kind of a big tent.
Exactly.
And that works with a lot of liberals who aren't really bad people. But the liberal controllers, they're globalists. They want to end the nation state. They don't like America. They don't like prosperity. So he's saying, hey, we're all Americans. And I was even like that 2 years ago. We're not all Americans. There's a bunch of people in this country that hate the country. The Ninth Circuit ruled 3 years ago that you can have American flags banned in West Coast states.
They're being brainwashed to hate the country. That's the problem.
Exactly. So how do you respond to that, Adam?
Here's what I'll tell you. Most liberals are spineless cowards who want everything their way. They want you to hear their voice, but they are not trying to hear anyone else's. They want you to be tolerant to them, but they're intolerant to everything else.
Yes, one-way cowardly bullies.
They are, yes, they are the decay of our country. I think that they are what is wrong with our country. And the reason why I do these videos is because I do have a son that I do raise on my own, and I don't want him to turn out like a lot of these kids from this generation are turning out, who have no clue what it is like to be.
Well, I can tell you this.
His Skype broke up, yeah.
Cut out, but I can tell you this. As far as the millennials, I myself am a millennial, and I can say I know what caused this. I know why the millennials are the way they are. It's really simple. It's from the public education system, the nonstop Nickelodeon, Disney.
Because their parents are still wiping their ass when they're 14. His Skype just came back. That's a great point.
Exactly.
What happened to millennials, and can we get them out of their cage? It's some weird feedback there, but go ahead. Go ahead.
You sound like a remix CD. I keep hearing like two things.
I've never had that happen before. Who knows what's going on today? It's all a new day.
All right, now I can hear you.
Go ahead, start over. You were making a point when you cut out.
Yeah, I do this for our youth because now they're not. I feel like they're not giving our youth a choice. They're pushing one agenda on them, and that is everything is okay. It's okay. It's okay if you're a boy and you wake up one day and you feel like you want to be a girl that day. It's okay if you don't know what bathroom to use. It's okay if you don't know what your gender is. And these parents are saying, yes, babe, that's okay. That's okay, son. That's okay, daughter, that you feel like that. You can be whatever you want. You can be whatever you want today. You can wear whatever you want to school. You can be a female, a male. It's not that. I think we need to give these kids a chance to live and to see what they really want to be. I think now everything is getting pushed on these kids that everything is acceptable. Well, guess what? Everything isn't acceptable.
Well, Camille Paglia calls it child abuse to try to confuse a 5-year-old about their gender. And now Google executives go in these amphitheaters and make the employees call them a female golden dragon or a ornate, beautiful building. And you're right, they're mainlining mental illness on purpose.
I just don't understand why we can't just go back to when things were somewhat normal. And men were men, women were women. And of course, there's always been gays and homosexuals.
And then we let folks, and we're tolerant, but it doesn't mean we have to accept. In fact, you know what? You're a racist and a homophobe. Adam Calhoun, I want you to address me as a golden female dragon, a dragonette. Address me as a female dragon or you're racist.
Well, I'll tell you right now, you are a white male in America, which all.
No, I am a golden dragon. I am an ornate. No, I am an ornate. Address me as an ornate train station. Do it right now, Calhoun.
Ornate train station, white bigot racist.
Well, you know what's interesting is my 2-year-old the other day, we would say, "Oh, you're a silly monkey," or "You're silly," and he'd say, "I'm not a monkey. I'm a chicken hawk." I said, You're a boy." "I'm not a boy. I'm a chicken hawk." "You're a girl." "No, I'm a chicken hawk." And I realized he was getting it from those old Looney Tune cartoons. So how much are kids saying, "Oh, I identify as this," because they're hearing it in their television, their movies, or their schools?
Well, so let me ask Adam Calhoun this. What is the end game? What's the end game of these people, and are they winning?
The end game for these people as far as Antifa and the liberals?
Yes.
They are clearly not winning, and they will never win. It's impossible for them to win. We are the majority. It's just we go about it a different way. So we're more of a silent majority. Nobody thought Donald Trump had a chance at winning. That's because we don't have to cry and scream. And he won by the silent majority. We are the majority. They can never win. They're not as strong as us physically, mentally. I don't think they're as smart as us. I think all they are is overgrown, spoiled little children that can't get their way, and they're just going to.
I agree with you, but let's do 5 more minutes before other guests come in studio. Here's the problem. The left now knows they've lost, so they're allying with Islam and trying to join up with those folks. So let's talk about that issue when we come back in 2 minutes on the other side. Stay with us. Millie and I were talking during the break about their secret weapon. I agree with Adam Calhoun, the guy that has more viewers than CNN. all of us do. It's like thousands of people have more viewers than
hard.
CNN, but still, no, he's doing a great job. Over 500,000 views on his own channel on Facebook alone. Is that they still keep this front up, and we still kind of respond to them, and then there are these disruptive things in society. But where they're getting us is what you were bringing up and what Adam was bringing up. They've got our kids.
They've got our children.
And they're in there with Green Party politics, brainwashing them, teaching them all this guilt. And so Adam, you know, Jesse James, a good friend of mine here in Austin, he's been here many times. He says, Alex, Trump won, he's the president, we're winning, prosperity's coming in, they'll never win. I agree that at least this generation, but they are abusing our children. So, Millie, make that quick point and get final comments.
Basically, if you want your kid to be a normal human being, take away their TV, take away their phones, their iPhones, their iPads, whatever you want to call it. Get them out of the system that the brainwashers are utilizing to massively brainwash.
Because we showed 4 clips earlier in German's kid program. You swear to Allah, little girls date Muslim adult men. I mean, you can't make this up. So that ace in the hole. What about our kids? And what about the left allied with the worst elements of Islam? Because they admit that's what they've done. I mean, how do we deal with that, Adam Calhoun?
Honestly, right there, that makes them domestic terrorists, correct?
It does.
Okay, and honestly, I don't think Muslims are going to take people that can't even fend for themselves. Listen, Antifa is a joke, but the only part of them that I am worried about, I'm not worried about them doing anything wrong to our country because they're cowards. And they will get stomped and smashed immediately. But I am worried that what our children do see, if they think this is okay and this is the way they want to go, it could get bigger. And if it does get bigger, then they can be taken more seriously. At this point in time, I don't think they can be taken.
No, I know Antifa's a joke. I'm saying in the public schools, they've got our kids. Most of these Antifa are school teachers, we found. They are in there. Most of the Antifa hitting people in the head with bike locks are professors. This is just what they do for their LARPing. I agree. I'm saying, what do we do about them brainwashing our kids?
I mean, that's a hell of a question. There's the only thing that you can do as a parent. That starts with the parents. You have to watch what your kids are watching. You have to be on top and be able to raise your kids outside of that box. And the only way to do that is to take social media away. But social media is power. You can use it for good or you can use it for bad. At the end of the day, this comes on our hands, your hands, Alex. This is up to you to do what you do with your platform to make it so that kids that watch you can see, okay, there is a different side. This is not the only side. And kids that watch me, the same thing. This is in our hands. This is in hands of Americans with platforms and with voices that can stop this from happening. Personally, I would just like to go out and fight all these people and make some type of legislation where what they're doing is actually terrorism against Americans, our own country.
Well, it comes down to this. We try to send our reporters out in Austin to go cover a gun rally or a rally for a lady killed by an illegal alien. Andy was there with guns saying, you're not coming in, actually with their guns saying, oh, are you scared? The police do nothing. So I agree they're cowards and filth, but they're backed up in blue cities like Austin or Berkeley or places like that to engage in their little cowardly chicken neck behavior. So, of course, they're pathetic and a joke. But how pathetic are we letting local government, basically, a lot of them are, trannies dressed up in Antifa outfits, what we found, actually, going out attacking people. We just can't put up with it anymore.
They're living in a fantasy world where they're the heroes and we're the bad guys. So it is dangerous.
I want to say something real quick. I'm not just the guy that sits behind a camera and makes videos and things like this. When there was a problem in my community in Chicago, I went into the worst neighborhood by myself. I paid guys out of each group, they were black men in these neighborhoods, to hold my phone and record me asking questions about Black Lives Matter. I was not scared. I will make you a deal right now. The next time you know about a big Antifa rally, send me out there and I will actually interview these people for InfoWars. And
listen, come to Austin. They'll never talk to us. We've tried before. Please, we're going to fly you down here. Adam Calhoun, can't wait to interview you again. Great job, Millie Weaver. Got some other great guests coming in studio. We'll be back. Stay with us. All right, stay with us. Infowars.com. Thank you.
Regardless of the fact that former President Obama blamed Great Britain's former Prime Minister David Cameron for turning Libya into a show back in 2016, and when Obama called Mitt Romney a bullshitter, Rolling Stone backed the statement, saying the halls of the White House have heard no shortage of profanity over the decades. But Trump's whole comment has been morphed into vile and racist by the left, hell-bent on destroying their own credibility and any progress on their coveted DACA deal.
And the only thing I regret from all of this, other than I think some people in the media have gone completely bonkers with, just ad hominem on the president, but what I regret is I do want to see an immigration compromise, right. And you can't have an immigration compromise if everybody's out there calling the president a racist.
In his tweets and his interviews and his public statements just Tuesday, when we had the large meeting in the cabinet room, he repeatedly insists that we need to move to a skills-based system.
But you were in the room where it happens, so you're saying in that room you didn't hear any of this sort of lumping everybody together. Is that what you're saying?
I did not hear derogatory comments about individuals or persons. No.
Okay.
I mean, Trump and his people will play that, play that as if he's being attacked. That's the price we pay for doing good, down the middle, honest journalism when we have someone like this in the White House.
As a hole, as living in calling those countries holes.
Remember, we're all holers. That was considered a hole. These people from shithole countries.
From shithole countries come shithole.
These people from shithole countries. All the countries of Africa are shitholes. These people from shithole countries come. This shithole is shithole countries.
From shithole countries come here.
People who come from shitholes for coming from shithole countries.
From the narrative of the shitholes
are from shithole countries.
And we are all shitholers, arm in arm.
And you probably come from a shithole.
Your mouth is the foulest shithole in the world. It's not about countries. It's not about shitholes and a shithole immigrant.
And you have no argument. The fact that he's going to get a deal done on DACA, that he's trying to get a comprehensive immigration reform done in a way that Obama couldn't, in a way that Bush couldn't. But you know what? President Trump is going to get that done. But the political left is going to immediately to the personal.
Hang on, one second,
because we just heard from the president.
Anna, wait.
We just heard from the president.
This isn't about you and me. You can't even sit there and watch the president's own words without calling John Berman and New Day ridiculous, because you don't even have the face to be able to look at his own words. This program isn't putting words in his mouth. They're quoting him. That's him on video.
Anna,
those are his
melting.
Words. He has been a racist his entire life. Oh, no, I'm not melting. I'm not a snowflake.
He thinks the United States should instead bring more people from countries like Norway. You know what I'm saying? Norwegian people. You catch my drift? People with blonde hair who need a lot of sunscreen. You get what I'm saying? I'm saying I'm a racist. Are you getting that part?
The president is a white supremacist. We heard in Charlottesville our president is a terrorist sympathizer, and our president is a clear and present danger to non-white people in America. It's that simple. There's no reason to pretend that that's not what's going on.
And this is not a president who's lost his step mentally. If this is not a president in the early stages of dementia that can't control some of the things that he blurts out of his mouth.
If you take Charlottesville and his blessing and love of, or kinship with understanding there are nice Nazis out there, if we take his implied support of a pedophile, and now if we take this additional, very clear racist thing, he's an evil man. We don't talk about that a lot. We talk about he's insane and he's crazy and he's this. That's evil.
And we would rather have Democrats really push as hard as possible to make sure that the bill is included there, that we don't have to, we don't have to do this. We don't have to mess with the visa lottery system. We don't have to do any of that. These policies are rooted in racism, white supremacy, and we can see that, and we just saw that right now.
If Americans buy into this Democratic psyop and vote more of these slanderous Democrats into the House in the midterms, then the show, as Obama calls it, will surely begin. John Bound reporting for Infowars.com.
So after Angela Merkel was dealt a stunning blow in the German elections, catapulting the right-wing AfD to become basically the primary opposition force in Germany, partly as a result of the disastrous policy of allowing millions of Muslim migrants to flood into the country, which Merkel herself admitted was a huge mistake after case of mass molestations, rape and sexual assault, after skyrocketing migrant crime figures, after numerous attempted and completed terrorist attacks. Germany must finally be taking strong action to halt the spread of Islamism within its culture, right?
Allah. Sag das mal. Allah.
Allah. Oh.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. Weil ich jetzt Muslima bin.
What you just watched was a clip from a German public television soap opera where a mother converts to Islam in front of her son. Companies putting hijabi women in their ads is one thing, but a soap star literally telling her son that all children are Muslims takes it to another level. Here's another clip from German television depicting the normalization of the hijab.
Enjoy difference, start tolerance.
Another documentary broadcast on German public TV favorably presented a relationship between a 16-year-old German girl and an adult Syrian man. The Muslim migrant tells his girlfriend to dress modestly and consider converting to Islam. Meanwhile, public television is also set to broadcast a movie that depicts a family having to flee a collapsing Germany and seek refuge in Africa to escape a right-wing extremist government that persecutes Muslims. Following an Islamic terror attack by a Syrian migrant, Germany's Tele5 changed its logo to include an Islamic crescent. Germany's top public broadcaster ZDF admits that it censors information about rapes if they're committed by Muslim migrants. Germans are being told to learn Arabic, to not fly the German flag because it might offend migrants. German scientists have even proposed mass drugging the population with oxytocin, a drug that increases feelings of trust, so they feel more accepting of migrants. What we're witnessing in Germany is nothing less than the mass indoctrination of the population. This is a huge re-education program aimed at normalizing Islam. Germans are being trained that they need to assimilate to Islamic mores and cultural norms, not the other way round. This is why women are being told to travel in groups. This is why gender-segregated safe zones are being set up in major cities for major events. This is submission. This is total capitulation. The only pushback has been increased support for AfD and stunts like this one, where a group plastered "it's okay to be German" signs across major cities. Maybe more Germans would feel free to speak out if they weren't being arrested for offensive social media posts. This is happening all across the entire continent of Europe. And the reason is quite simple. When a society loses faith in its culture, loses faith in its heritage, more aggressive doctrines, belief systems and cultures will rush in to fill the void. What's the end goal? The replacement of the population. Oh, don't take my word for it. Listen to the far-left politicians who proudly announce that very agenda.
Unsere Gesellschaft wird sich ändern. Unsere Stadt wird sich radikal verändern. Ich bin der Auffassung, dass wir in 20, 30 Jahren gar keine ethnischen Mehrheiten mehr haben in unserer Stadt. Das ist das, was wir haben werden in der Zukunft. Und ich sage Ihnen noch ganz deutlich, gerade hier in Richtung rechts, das ist gut so.
I'm for limited, skilled immigration, and I want Germany to remain Germany. Multiculturalism isn't about diversity. It's about power. It's about leftist political parties importing future generations of voters at the cost of the identity and security of their own country. If Germany was importing millions of Australians or Japanese, it wouldn't be anywhere near as big a problem. But you can't import millions of people who can't speak the language, are in many cases illiterate, and immediately go on welfare. People who follow a belief system that treats women as second-class citizens. People who are more prone to violent criminal behaviour, without that changing the fundamental nature of society. Is it any wonder Germany has now followed France in having its own migrant no-go zones? Is it any wonder that migrants were responsible for a 92% increase in reported violent crimes in Germany? Is it any wonder that German cities with the highest population of migrants also have the highest crime rates? Is it any wonder that female genital mutilation case?
Okay, so we've got Quentin Carter in here, one of our defense military correspondents here at the office. And we've got Kit Cope, four-time Muay Thai world champion, MMA, title contender, current position director of marketing of sales with Spikes Tactical, one of the biggest firearms groups out there now, and also a firearms manufacturer out of Florida, founded in 2001. We've also got Kit formerly hosted the worldwide Spike on Spike TV. Kit has also worked privately as a security contractor in Thailand, U.S., Puerto Rico, spiketactical.com. We're working to get to be a sponsor here. We've also got Lincoln Osiris. That's a pen name or a nom de plume. President of Pipe Hitters Union, disabled combat vet, former Tier 1 operator and private security contractor with deployments, some of the most dangerous places in the world. Pipe Hitters Union was founded in 2004 by a group of special operations veterans. It has since then grown to be sold in over 30 countries, based right here in Texas, and around the world. They put on some of the hard-hitting, no-nonsense apparel with a combat mindset woven into the DNA of each and every item that is pushed out the door. And they are now our main T-shirt manufacturer last year. That's why it's better fabric and higher quality and everything else at InfoWarsStore.com. But he's not going to be on camera over there because he still does secret squirrel stuff. And we're going to get into all this here today. But you guys put out this big image a few weeks ago. It's behind me. We'll put it in front of us, too. That Time Magazine, Newsweek, a bunch of other publications called white supremacists. Because if you don't like Antifa beating up old women, shooting cops in the back, telling InfoWars reporters they can't walk onto the Capitol grounds, then you're evil. Well, they say that about everybody. But this has gotten big news since you guys shot this photo, what, 3-4 weeks ago. But I had a guest on earlier saying, hey, Alex, Antifa's a joke. What are you worried about him? I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about George Soros documents we have where they're trying to use them as the trigger to start a race war to cause a civil emergency. And you can see the media hyping all this. And you can see, you know, with black unemployment, the lowest ever, the stock market coming back, 26,000 full-page ads in the New York Times calling for the overthrow of the president. So I know they're a bunch of scum. The point is, who's behind them? So all you guys are experts in these areas. You've been concerned about Antifa. Let's just start and go around the table here.
All right. When we came up with this ad originally, it was basically just the same motivation that you have for any ad. You want to say something that you know other people are thinking. You want to put something out there that other people identify with. And I think that the people on the side of right are too often just silent. They just you know, they'll let all of the crap go on and, you know, think like, okay, well, they're over there. I'm just going to keep me and my people, you know, on the side of right. And I think that we don't scream as loud. We don't complain as much. We don't cry baby like they do. So we wanted to put this out there to kind of give our side a little bit of a push to get that conversation started.
Exactly, because people that have their own lives don't want to run other people's lives, and all the patriots and hardworking people don't want to be out there making noise, but we have to in this information warfare age.
We finally come to a place where we all grew up in our age. We're all in our 40s that you got up every single day, you tied your bootstraps tight, you went to work, you provided for your family, you kept your mouth shut. That's just what you do. You get up every day, you go to work, you come home.
Mind your business.
That's it, you know? But it's come to a point now in our society, in our country, where all people do is cry and whine and complain and protest and do whatever. So it's the old adage that, you know, the squeaky wheel gets grease. And we've never been that way. We've always been the quiet ones. We just do what we want to do and try to stay out of other people's lives, live our lives the way it makes us happy. And basically that's no longer, we can't do that anymore. I mean, it's now where we have to speak up, we have to say how we feel, and win this information war with our words.
And we did just that with... We made a point with this ad. People keep asking if we intended to cause so much controversy. Were we suggesting or encouraging violence against left-leaning protesters? No, that wasn't the case at all. Actually, we made a point, and the point was not on our watch, not today, Antifa. As a veteran, I signed on the dotted line. I swore an oath to defend America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Well, I did that for many, many years downrange. Well, now I'm beat up. I'm getting old. I'm doing it at home now. As a veteran, I look around, and where's the threat? Well, it's these clowns in balaclavas that are, you know, hitting people with sticks or beating up old ladies or setting cars on fire, tearing up, you know, the streets, and that is a threat. So that's really what we did, is we just made a point and said, it's not on our watch, not today, Antifa.
Well, for me, again, everybody says, well, they're a joke. They're a bunch of meth heads. The point is, George Soros has just put in $18 billion. We got these documents last week. They've been confirmed. They've not denied them, and it's their plan to cause a race war, their plan to destabilize. They're the idiots that they hire to do this. They're just the front of the tentacle. They're the morons that would serve evil. So, of course, they're pathetic idiots. But the bigger issue is what's behind it. Look at this article from Jamie White, just broke on Infowars.com. Armed Antifa professor, that's who they mainly are, the professors, admits chasing Charlottesville driver with a gun before the deadly crash, running him into the people. They're right there.
Yeah, we've actually, there are a couple of people that have reached out with, you know, violent messages and threats of violence and whatnot to both of actually to Spike's Tactical and to Pipe Hitters Union, you know, threatening the lives of the poor little girls that answer the telephones and stuff like that. And they've brought up the Charlottesville thing a number of times, like assuming that, well, if we're anti-Antifa, then maybe we're proud of that, the girl that got hurt in Charlottesville. Maybe we support Nazis or you know, fascism or the KKK or anything like that. It's not that we actually,
well, that's what they do. They're scum. They're getting paid. One of these guys was paid $20,000+ in 1 year to go around and do this. They know. They know we have a conscience, so they tell us we're these bad things to make us feel bad. My issue is looking at this larger plan. It isn't going well for them. And so I'm wondering where Soros and the controllers are going to go next.
Yeah, and I question, like, what type of mental deficiency do you have that you're willing to cause chaos and hurt people for money? And it's not like we're somewhere else or hurting bad people. You're literally hurting people that are good people that aren't doing anything wrong at all.
In your own neighborhood.
In your own neighborhood, in your own country.
Just a month ago, Owen Schroyer goes out to a Capitol demonstration for the young woman that got killed by the illegal alien, and the liberal jury let him go. So it's okay, kill whoever you want. And they wouldn't let him in. They had guns. They said, "Are you scared?" And they were pointing them at him and saying, "We'll kick your ass." He said, "Well, I am shaking because I am scared." And the police let him do it because we're a blue city.
Yeah, it's insane. It's cowards that hide behind masks and guns. If they were really tough, if they really believed in what they do, they'd pull those masks off and
by the way, there's like an hour of this. They follow him around. This is after 30 minutes of them not letting him get on the park.
Right.
They just follow him around.
Notice all the hammers and sickles.
Yeah, and notice that there's not a set of work boots in the group. Notice that it's all a bunch of young white men who don't even know what communism means or anarchy.
So and they all think they're so tough. I mean, I got to say, I've never seen such scum. This is true.
My best. You know, I get kind of fired up and I drop a cuss word every now and then. I'm going to do my best not to.
Let's not do it. We're coming right back.
All right.
We got Lincoln O of Pipe Hitters Union. We got Kit Cope of Spike's Tactical and also world champion Muay Thai fighter, MMA, joining us. And we got good old Q, who is a retired mall cop from Atlanta. And you got me, the Pumpkinhead. We're having some fun here today, though. Seriously, though, I know Antifa are literal devil-worshipping meth head scum. We know. We've interviewed them. I mean, they just say, we love Satan, we love meth, we hate you. They're just the trash. But you've got hundreds of millions a year being spent by George Soros. We had big stories about it last week, trying to cause war, trying to cause riots. And, hey, Congressman Scalise got shot. Hey, all these other Republican city council people have been shot. I get coffee dumped on my head. And I'm not saying it intimidates me. I'm saying almost all your Antifa are professors leading scumbags, just like this professor who admits that an Antifa leader admitted on social media to chasing down Charlottesville driver with a rifle, causing him to ram into a group of counter-protesters. Well, that's what we were told day one. So this is what they're trying to hype. They're trying to use these events, they admit in these Antifa documents, under Democratic Party directive by George Soros' son, to cause a cascading detonation effect for racial conflict leading to martial law in America. And they've now, it's come out, these documents have been admitted to be real. So this is their plan. We need to look at it. Yes, I know they're scum. I know they're a joke, but that's what we're dealing with. So what was it like for you guys when you put this image out 3 weeks ago, simply saying, hey, Antifa, you're calling for all this violence, whatever. Not today. You're not going to shoot cops in the back or hit women in the head with bike locks today. We're going to defend ourselves. They go ape, you know what, and then CNN, MSNBC, Newsweek, they all call you Nazis. Hundreds of publications, NPR. I mean, Q was telling me this last week, and I was like tuning into NPR. They were talking about it. Oh gosh, veteran groups are saying they're going to kill Antifa. No, you didn't. They're so afraid. So the question is, what will veterans and patriots do when there's a clear and present danger trying to start a civil war? Do we just laugh at them? What was it like for you, Lincoln O., to be called a Nazi, to have people call your business and threaten you?
Well, I'll tell you what. I come from a place where people have integrity. They do the right thing. And that isn't the case at all. It might be a little naive, but I expected accurate news coverage, which is not what we got at all. So this hack of a journalist from Newsweek, Michael Hayden, puts out this trash piece suggesting that we are Nazis. There isn't anything that could probably upset me any more than that. Both of my grandfathers served during World War II. My father and uncles served during Vietnam. I've been to some of the most dangerous and kinetic places on the face of the earth. I've been shot. I've been blown up. I've had my skull fractured. I've got part of my spine fused. And I've done all of that for our country in support of the global war on terrorism. So for some scab of a journalist to call me a Nazi is pretty offensive. Now, I've kind of scaled down and eased up a bit over the last couple of days, but I've publicly put it out. Michael, I'll pay for your ticket. Get on a plane. Come see me. I'd like to see you face to face. I'd like to show you what we're all about and see if I can change your mind. Now, I got money.
And by the way, that'd be a hell of a story, but they don't want the truth. They want to just call us all Nazis.
Bingo. They don't want the truth, and they've shown it time and time again. We can tell them, we can show them over and over and over that that isn't the case, but they continue to run a story that fits their narrative. Vice News, they called us up. They had 4 questions for us. They asked us these 4 questions. We gave them good answers. Well, those 4 questions weren't good enough, so they came back with 2 more questions, and one of those questions happened to be, are you Nazis? Do you guys sympathize with white supremacy? In no uncertain terms, we said absolutely not. We do not support Nazis or white supremacy or anything of that nature. Well, when this journalist decided to run this article, they included the question, but left out our answer. They intentionally wanted their readers to believe the story that fit their narrative. They did not want them to.
And by the way, Katie Couric basically lost a lawsuit over that, where she would ask gun owners, well, what do you think about this? And then she would cut to like just footage of them in the room, but not what they said. And she said, oh, they couldn't answer. And that's the tactic they engage in. I was interviewed for like 9 hours by Megyn Kelly, and she'd ask me a question, I'd answer it. She goes, we just need to get some room sound. They ran the camera for like 5 minutes, and they would show me not able to answer. So it's not a journalist that interviewed you. It's a political hack.
Absolutely.
It's an actual tactic.
War. It's a war on words, and they're just playing a game.
Another thing that that Lincoln actually left out of that Lincoln, the proposed Nazi, left out of that is this supposed Nazi, he's married to a Jewish woman. His children are Jewish. That whole side of the family is Jewish.
But they don't care.
Really personal.
No. Exactly, but they don't care. Here's the thing. They're funded by George Soros, who rounded up thousands of his fellow Jews and bragged about it on 60 Minutes. What's crazy is they're not just calling us Nazis, they're literally funded by a Nazi.
It's mind-blowing. It's even hard to fathom, or let alone put into words. And anyone knows me knows I'm normally not short of words, but it's mind-blowing to think that normal Americans, for a small amount of money, will do what they do. The uprising, the causing the trouble.
That's what's mind-blowing is you tell them in the interview one thing, and they'll ask you a question and then cut to something you said an hour later, totally unrelated.
I was with you during the whole Megyn Kelly interview, and I can tell everyone out there listening or following or sees this, it was so fake. They literally, the way they lit you, the way they did things, and then the way they edited it to look like you didn't have answers to questions is insane.
Well, we released some of the tapes where they'd ask one question and 30 minutes later they'd have another one. They'd put that together. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's good.
No, you're making your point. I interrupted. Go ahead.
Well, just keeping with the whole Nazi thing, if Antifa was actually an anti-fascist group, if they were actually doing what they are proposing that they are, I'd be a joiner. I'm down for that. I'm down to oppose, or I'm down to fight oppression. I'm down to you know, I'm all about that less government. However, that's not what it is. That's just the name that they've given themselves to empower themselves to stir all this shit up.
That's all it is. They picked a name.
Well, it's all right. Well, I mean, that's it, though, is that the controllers, these are idiots at the ground level. But professors control them just like this guy. But that's what they do, is they know what they're doing. They know they're deceiving. And CNN, MSNBC, we have like a 10-minute compilation of talk show hosts saying, sometimes it's good to be violent first. Antifa's fighting Nazis. So they define you as a Nazi while they're funded by a Nazi, and then they go out and attack America. It's perfect. It's a genius plan. Go ahead.
Yeah, the counter, notice this thing, even this says counter protesters. Whether you're protesting on this side or that side, you're a protester. That's the same thing as reverse racism. Racism is racism. Doesn't matter if it's black to white, white to black. It's racism, not reverse racism. Those aren't counter protesters. Those are also protesters.
And again, they obsess over words.
The scary thought of all of this is the majority of these leaders are professors in a college system where we're paying for our young children, our kids to go to college to be taught, educated in a mindset and a belief by these people.
And look at this jerk. He tried to get our gun. On TV, we can show you a document cam shot. He tried to get our guns, but failed because he wanted to be the only one with the guns. Now that they failed, they roll out with their guns, and look at that you-know-what-eating grin on him. Man, he literally, Nazis wore a silver insignia on the hat like that. They wore black, just like that. And then if you look at the symbol, it looks like a swastika. The truth is they've got a fetish, in my opinion, for Nazis.
What was that skull thing that you saw earlier?
A Totenkopf.
Totenkopf.
Well,
right
you know
there.
what's interesting is when Obama was in office, if you opposed anything he had to say or didn't agree with the administration, you were automatically a racist. It didn't matter. You were a racist. Well, now that shoe doesn't fit quite the same. So now if you have anything to say, well, you're a Nazi. And how do you defend that?
You used to sock people in the face. That's what it used to be. You used to sock someone in the gibbers that would say something that outrageous to you, but that's not the world we live in anymore.
Well, Antifa's planning new giant demonstrations with billions of dollars of funding. They're failing, but how are they going to strike? Let's not underestimate these meth head pieces of crap. We're back live, ladies and gentlemen. Going into the fourth hour, Paul Watson has the editor of Breitbart London joining him with big breaking news. We're going to overlap some with Paul Watson from London coming up. This story on Infowars.com just broke while we were on air about 40 minutes ago. Armed Antifa professor, as I was saying, right as you came on, I said we found his professors running it because they keep catching who stabs people, who hits women in the head with clubs, bike locks, who burns cars. They've been arresting them, and it's always professors leading, you know, these idiots they recruit online. And then, I'm sorry, this is a Nazi uniform. He has a round silver epaulette in the middle of a black cap. He's got a skull. It looks like a sun symbol here. They fetishize all this, and then they call us Nazis. And they're funded by George Soros.
Yeah, they need to know that this photo that we've put out in these magazines, Skill Set Magazine, Recoil Magazine, this is actually very probable. This is actually what it's going to come down to. There are plenty of patriotic Americans that are prepared to defend themselves.
But if they're that close, you better have the rifles leveled.
Yeah, well, see, we're not advocating violence.
No, you don't have.
We're just protecting.
There's 100 meth heads with weapons coming at me, though. I'm gonna
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think they would have gotten that close, actually.
No, but I get the whole point. Is they're the violent ones. You're just in defense.
Yeah, absolutely. They've given a bunch of media outlets have given all kinds of descriptive words to each of the groups there. It doesn't matter what if these are the good guys and those are the bad guys, or it doesn't matter.
It shows how mainstream media is behind this crap and how you you just put out this defensive thing and they demonize you for it, showing the power structure as the funding shows us behind it. So how do people get the viral image? We're going to retweet it right now at Real Alex Jones, and I'm going to put it out on Paul Watson's Twitter that's so viral right now. How do people get this image? Pipe Hitters Union, Spikes Tactical. How do they get Not Today? Because I haven't even plugged. We have a new T-shirt that just came out. Quentin, go ahead and show it. I got to fund this operation as well. We've got that, by the way, Pipe Hitters Union, based right here in Texas, is our main T-shirt maker right now with, of course, Lincoln O doing it. It says, Not Today Antifa, Charlottesville, Portland. Again, this is a limited edition shirt. What does this mean?
This is basically the idea that we came up for a T-shirt to match our ad. So whether the ad reaches how many thousands or how many hundreds of thousands or even possibly millions of people, we wanted an opportunity for our followers to be able to help us fund the InfoWar. As we said earlier, this is a war. Right now it's a war of words. We're hoping that it doesn't go past words into any kind of action, but understand that if it does go into action, that it won't happen on our watch. This is not who we are. We haven't been doing this for Lincoln and myself, both excess of 20 years now, so that some college kid can come up and take the rights that we fought.
Yeah.
And
what was it like, and then jump in any time, Osiris, to see our own reporters? I felt guilty that I wasn't out there, and then I was afraid to go out. Now that I'm afraid of them, if 20 dudes with guns show up and tell me I'm not marching to the Capitol, I'm going to go crazy. I mean, I've reached the point where I can't even be around these people.
I felt really bad that he was out there, and obviously they're
saying you're scared. We got guns, you know.
He's not alone, but he's not helpful. Like there's not a lot of people out there helping. So I felt really guilty about that at first, and I still do. But I'm like you, I kind of felt enraged because I'm the kind of person that I believe in action over words. So when some punk tries to stand in front of me waving his red communist flag, telling me I'm not going to do something in the state that I live in the country that I live in, that the country that I fought for, I'm going to pull your punk card. Like I can promise you, your mama's basement's not going to help you. All the YouTube videos that you watch are not going to help. I'm going to take that red flag and I'm going to stick it someplace. And you're not going to like it.
But they're the useful idiots. They're being programmed for the confrontation. How do we, myself included, I can't be around this. Lincoln, how do we outthink this? I mean, where do you see this going?
You know, Alex, that's a fantastic question. And I wish I had, like, a good answer. I don't see it going anywhere good, that's for sure. I mean, that's kind of the point behind our ad, exactly, is that, you know, these guys are going to keep pushing and they're going to keep pushing and they're going to keep pushing. And at some point, whether it's a group of guys like me or, you know, just everyday, you know, regular Joe, that's going to finally say enough's enough. And I think that's when things will pop off. So hopefully it doesn't get to that. But once again, this is, you know, the point of our ad. It's like we're standing in defense, and these knuckleheads are attacking.
So it's almost like somebody's breaking in your door, and you see the videos, the person says, halt, don't come in. You're not wanting offensive stuff. You're saying, look, don't push us, stop,
Right.
stop.
That's what I was saying, that there's two groups of people, attackers and defenders. No matter what other words you give them, in the ad, you see attackers and defenders.
Well, it's really no different, and I'm going to circle this all the way back around to Newsweek and Vice. So they attacked us for our ad. Well, I think like most people in the country, like this country's gotten soft in the big picture. They expected us to just, you know, tuck our tail, turn and run and
apologize.
They think we're like them. That's the thing.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we're not cut from that cloth. We're a different breed. And so when we told them, like, not happening, like, they reached out to us, and everybody kept asking us, do you want to make an apology? Absolutely not.
Do you want to make an apology for saying Antifa, we're not going to let you kill us?
No. So if we make...
Do you want to bend over and ask Antifa to nicely do it with lubrication?
Please.
I mean, it would suggest that we had done something wrong or that we had remorse. No, absolutely not. Not only are we not going to apologize, but we're going to double down and say, not today.
I think that's the message. Veterans tell Antifa, your threats can go to hell.
And it's not even about veterans, Alex. It's Americans. It's patriots. It's the average everyday.
I agree, but particularly, this is a paramilitary group of communists funded by a literal Nazi collaborator. We should ask veterans, what are you going to do? Because Antifa, you know, I don't want to get into it on air. They tell me, we're coming to get you. We're coming to get your family. Right. I know they're pieces of crap, but it's what they it's what they represent.
Right.
Well, I can tell you one thing that these guys probably don't have figured out is as I mentioned earlier, I've done my time. I took an oath to defend America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That oath doesn't have an expiration date. And the large majority of veterans that are still here in the States, whether we're talking all the way back, to the guys that are getting older now that served in Vietnam, all the way to nowadays, those guys aren't going to put up with this. It's not going to happen.
That's my question. Why is Soros and the globalists miscalculated? They're losing everywhere, so they've literally put 10 times more money in to get more meth heads to go out and start fights. I don't think they've already lost.
Right. They've already lost. This fight is over. It's a moot point for him to continue to pour money into it. I don't know what his deal is. I don't know what he thinks he's...
Him and his piece of crap son should just crawl into whatever rat hole they came from.
But the bottom line is you can come as hard as you want. You can keep doing what you're doing. You will not find a limit to the amount of people like us that will stand here and defend people till the day we die.
Now, that begs a question as well, though. That's currently. So currently, we've just talked about how America's getting a little soft. Currently, we're dug in. There are enough patriots in America to fight this BS. What happens in the next generation?
And this is why they want to take our guns.
That's why we've got to do the info war to get the next generation ready.
Exactly. And that's why it's our responsibility as fathers and mothers to raise our children right, to teach them right from wrong, to teach
them that dirty communists that openly call for killing cops are the enemy.
That's right.
And then this piece of crap that, brags that he reportedly, ran the guy into the people. I mean, look at that smiley face piece of crap. Look at him. Look at that. That's the enemy. Look at him. What do you think of that guy?
Every single day, that guy has a classroom full of students that are required to listen to what he has to say.
And he's a narcissistic wannabe that wants to have a war against our free speech and thinks he's invincible.
That's the guy who is going to educate your children.
Exactly.
So I'm calling for parents to do a better job, educate your children long before they get to college, that they understand right from wrong, so that when some lame whatever like him tries to
I wonder how you become with such a piece of crap. How do you become this guy? I mean, look at that smiley face.
That guy was never a part of anything. That guy was never a part of a team or a sports team or something bigger than himself. And now he's found a group of like-minded sissy boys that he can band together with. Now he's part of something.
And he's got, they're proud that George Soros, a famous Nazi that overthrows countries and makes people poor, they love it. They like the fact they work for Dr. Evil.
Right. Because it's the first time in their life they belong to something. This is not Dungeons and Dragons. This is not a board game that they've been playing in their basement or hiding behind the keyboard. This is the first time in their life they feel like they belong to something.
And they attack in blue cities where the police are ordered to stand down. The police have come out.
Right.
And it's in these documents that they are coordinating with the police. And the police have told us we're ordered to stand down.
I don't doubt it at all.
The police have come out in Charlottesville. We're going to come right back with the fourth hour with our guest, Dan Paul Watson. Please spread the live links. That's how you rebel against this. The hope is that InfoWars is not that big a deal. The fact that they're scared of us, congressional hearings, the left wants to shut down, shows up, but that they are. And the left thinks hashtag kill Republicans, hashtag kill Trump, hashtag pour coffee on people's head. It shows they're really trying to intimidate us to go away, just like Hitler in 1941 was only bombing military targets in England. But then he said, I'll bomb civilian sites to make them give up. The Brits had already had World War I. They were against the war, polls showed. As soon as they bombed civilian targets, it went to 98% for the war. The Brits got behind it, and it was over. And these dumbasses think we're like them. They think starting a fight with us intimidates us, when it actually, I think, only wakes us up. Any comments on that, Kit? Any comments, Lincoln?
Well, I can't help but just keep thinking about this picture of this clown that you guys keep putting up on the screen. When I see this guy, all I can think is, he needed to be loved. He needed some acceptance. He needed a little bit of something special, but he probably didn't have the self-confidence or the ability to make it through boot camp and be on the right side of right. So he joins up with this knucklehead group, Antifa. He's encouraging it, and he's definitely not on the right side of right, or he won't be on the right side of history, in my opinion, by any means.
Not at all. I mean, look at him. You can tell, and he's just completely pompous. He's a prick. If somebody out there is watching and can do this for me, find this T-shirt. I want to know who makes it, and I want to know what the words are that he's got hidden behind his little turkey neck.
One of them's death to traitors. It says death to traitors.
And I want to know that.
Which it's projection. He means himself.
That's fine. And if it's death to traitors, that's fine. But I want to know the context in which it's sold. Is it sold on some white supremacist website? Is it sold somewhere else?
Because it does look like an embedded swastika.
It has some definite hidden features in it. So if that's the case, someone just find it, let us know.
This is all propagated by the Communist Party, by socialism. How is it that this is a professor? This is a supposedly educated man. Have you not studied your history?
Look at Venezuela. Look at North Korea. Look.
Have you not seen how this works out for you? This is going to be bad in the end for your side.
If you don't like how things work here, it's real simple. Pack up and move. If you don't like it, if you enjoy socialism or communism, Venezuela would love to have you.
Absolutely. And everybody talks about how you know, we're so racist in America and everything. I've been to 60 countries in this world. America is probably the most tolerant country on the planet.
Aren't they all super class oriented and
absolutely. You've got we're one of the only countries in the world that has a middle class at all. It's proletariat and people with lots and lots of money and nothing in between. And racism in every man, I'm not going to name countries, but in all the other countries that I've been to, racism exists. It's not as easy as ours. Ours is like black and white. Okay.
No, it's like this tribe against this tribe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or this religion against that religion.
In some countries, if you don't come from the county that they are in, you are just as bad as any of the other, you know.
And again, they use our Christian ethos against us. We're going out to break. We're going to come back. Other points?
I got nothing.
Well, let's talk about what they do when they fail, because they are failing. The stock market's at 26,000, 2 million new jobs, best black unemployment ever. What are they going to do as the Trump train just continues on? Because all he did was take off globalist measures that were meant to shut us down.
Right.
So I want to give Trump credit, but the credit is he knows what's going on, is doing it. It's not hard to untie a boat from the dock and then it starts going out.
Right. All of the crap.
It's just he's like just chopping the chains off. God, we can walk all of a sudden. We don't have 14 giant black, iron balls tied to our ankle. Damn right we can climb a mountain now. All right, Paul Watson's taking over next segment, hosting from London, England. We've got all these different German state-run TV programs telling young children pledge to Allah. Young girls are told teenage girls date Muslim men. Paul's got a viral report out on that. So much more is going on. We've got drudgereport.com linked to our biggest exclusive interview with Steven Seagal, where he refutes these rape charges and talks about the deep state operation. Paul, you're taking over next segment, my friend. But tell us your view on Antifa right now with these documents that have come out that they haven't refuted, how they're trying to trigger a race war. It's pretty clear the media is doing that. I think they're losing. Do you agree they're losing? What do they do next now they've already turned the amplifier up to 11? Paul Watson.
Well, you've got to realize most of these Antifa members are just chicken neck wannabe thugs. They're never going to do anything. But occasionally, Alex, you're going to get one that goes postal. Over Christmas, we had a story which the media completely ignored, as they do everything else. PN39 terrorist was an anti-Trump Antifa supporter. This is the guy who planned a Christmas Day massacre in San Francisco. You go on his Facebook page, you've got the screenshots here in this article, liking Antifa pages. This was proven, this was documented that he was an Antifa supporter. I've warned for probably over a year now that one of these idiots is going to go postal. You're going to have a deranged element amongst them, and they're going to carry out an actual terror attack. It's not just going to be violent assaults against people. It's going to be an actual terror attack. The DHS, the FBI have listed Antifa as a terrorist movement. They've done FBI field reports, which have come out in books, which we posted in this article, which, again, the mainstream media didn't cover, saying that they've got improvised explosives stored on college campuses and that some of them are going to Syria to get training from actual Islamic terrorists. Now, obviously, that's not the vast majority of them. but it only takes one.
And that's my next point. What about this sick merger that Soros is funding with Linda Saussure of communism and Islam and the left's full embrace that you cover in that viral report where they're telling kids on German children's TV, submit to Islam, and kids go, I submit to Islam. I submit there is only one God, he is Allah, and his prophet is Muhammad. We played that earlier. What? The left is psychotic.
That's like a Sharknado. It's like just putting the two worst things together. Go for it, brother.
They share the same goals. This is the point. ISIS put out a manifesto in December 2015. The headline, the subheadline in this manifesto was European Muslims allying with left-wing activists. Said it is most likely that connections between Muslims and left-wing activists will be made. They're talking about arming and militarizing left-wing activists because ISIS and the far left share the same overall goal, which is the destruction of Western civilization and America. I mean, you had inauguration rioters during Trump's inauguration showing pictures of ISIS beheadings on their phone to Trump supporters who were just having
We were there, Q. It took us 3 hours to get through because they were blocking everybody going in.
Yep. We had multiple altercations where people wouldn't let people through. We had the big one with Black Lives Matter. Ended up
running them over.
Yeah.
And then the police wouldn't let us in.
Then they wouldn't let us in, made us leave the premise, walk around the far other backside. Just happened to make it in because there were a bunch of bikers that were there. But remember, they got in a big altercation because one of them, Black Lives Matters guy, hit a female when we were there.
You got arrested.
And that's
so let's put on screen again, ladies and gentlemen. This is the viral image. I hope Paul tweeted out as well. That's got the media demonizing the image of veterans, not even aiming their firearms at anybody, but saying to Antifa, not today, Antifa. And then the media backs up this scum. We know they're scum. We know they're a joke. But they're the excuse detonator they need, as these documents show, for martial law. So how do people get this image? How do they retweet it out? Because it's so triggering.
Well, this image just took off like wildfire. We received hundreds, thousands of phone calls and emails asking, how do we get this? How do we get this? Well, to be honest, we only just considered running this as an ad. We never really considered putting it out as an image. And well, since then, we are having thousands and thousands of them printed. We will have them with us at SHOT Show next week. If you approach us, we're going to give you one. But also, if you just want to get your hands on one, we will have them for sale next week on pipehittersunion.com and spikestactical.com. So early next week, you can check both websites. They'll be there if you guys want to.
And we should do a limited edition InfoWars version as well.
Ooh, good call, good call.
Because I've told everybody to fund our operations. Everybody loves. We did this Reagan print and this Trump print, 2,000 each. And they were originals by the guy that's in the Reagan library. They sold in days each one and helped fund us for like weeks. So I'm telling you, we need to go with this, with the art, with this angle, with limited edition. People frame it. They fund the InfoWar. This is what it's all about.
And if you pick up one of these posters, no matter where you pick it up, and you decide to take a picture and post it to your social media, hashtag Antifa. Let's take over that hashtag for a short period and show them what's up.
Yeah, let them know how many people out there are actually supporting us. And we've gotten a huge outpouring of support since, you know what happened at first is that we were getting the death threats and we were getting lots of people calling and sending emails and everything. And that was actually in the first couple of hours that it came
The lie goes halfway around the world before the truth puts its pants on.
Right. Well, these were the people that don't have jobs, the people that were just there cruising social media. Once the people that have jobs got off work, then we started getting that outpouring of support.
And again, that's exactly what we've said. That's the left whining and crying and doing nothing while the right doesn't say anything. Then after a while, they realize, hey, these guys have done something right. They're not trying to hurt anyone. They're just simply calling for defensive measures.
That's right.
And then the right started standing up because we're tired of listening to other people whine and cry and moan and say whatever with us not being vocal.
Absolutely. And we've got the new shirt at InfoWarsStore.com designed by Pipe Hitters Union, helps fund the operation. Not today, limited edition. And it, again, has Infowars.com on the back. It has an American flag on the right-hand shoulder. It's in red. We have the monthly T-shirt, which is the Won't Tread on Me with a red snake instead of a yellow snake. The yellow snake is on limited edition. The red snake is. That's 1 month only. Get 25% off when you sign up to be able to get the new shirt each month at InfoWarsStore.com. And, again, no reviews yet because it just came out today. This is how we fund our operations. Thank you all for your support. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. All right, gentlemen, Paul Watson's about to take over after this break. He's got Breitbart London editor on to cover a host of issues. But everybody, let's get your brief take. Kit, a final statement.
Final statement. The ad that put us in this seat right here, 100% we still stand behind. Actually, probably even more so now.
Well, yeah, they go out and try to intimidate anybody that sticks their head up.
Yep.
And then when you don't bow down, you get even more stronger.
Zero apologies from Spike's Tactical. We mean everything that you infer from this ad. Take that.
You know, last words. Most of the support that we've gotten has been, you know, really, really good. But people feel like we are saying what they've all wanted to say for so long, but just haven't gotten around to it or had the courage or whatever. But now that we have been attacked and we've, stood up against this, everybody is super supportive. And we couldn't be any more appreciative for that. But also, Alex, I want to thank you for having us on your show. It means the world. We needed this platform in order to, fight the fight. So
well, I appreciate you guys. My God, I mean, you got George Soros, full page ads in the New York Times saying, let's have an uprising, let's overthrow America's recovery. And so, wow, telling the truth in a world of universal deceit is a revolutionary act, to quote George Orwell. All we're saying is you want to run around as communists and call for violence, we're going to defend ourselves. Then they try to intimidate you, and you stand against intimidation. It's all a fraud. Once you stand against it, it's like coming out of the storm into clean sailing. It's all talk by these people.
Yeah, I've been in this situation actually before in a microcosm of this situation where somebody says, hey, you want to fight? And then I put my hands up. Okay, I guess we're fighting. And then now they're irate because, you want to fight with me. You just said, let's fight. I got ready to fight, and now you're really upset because we're going to fight.
We were talking about that last week, Hugh.
That's exactly right. And the bottom line is the war is on. It's an information war right now. We're fighting with words. We want to keep it that way. But if we're pushed past the point, understand that we will fight in a manner that you are not prepared for.
Well, that's it. They got communists and globalists and Nazi collaborators trying to cause a civil war. We're trying to fix it. We got to tell America, like Paul Revere, hey, get ready. All right, Kit, Lincoln, Q, everybody. Paul Watson's coming up to be back on the War Room, coming up with Owen Schroyer. Paul Watson, take over.
We are live. It is the 4th hour of the Alex Jones Show on this January 16th edition, 2018. In the next segment, we've got Raheem Kassam coming up. He is the editor of Breitbart London. Went on Sky News a few days ago in a video that has since gone viral, where he called London an S-hole, in the words of Donald Trump, and they weren't very happy with him for pointing out that fact. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into his book, which is No-Go Zones, about the Islamic ghettos that now dominate Europe. First of all, in this segment, though, I want to talk about Cory Booker, and we've got this clip set up, who just a few hours ago got up before a Department of Homeland Security hearing and tried to give Kristen Nielsen a dressing down, and he had an absolute fit. He had a deranged, hysterical, anti-Trump meltdown. The headline up on Infowars.com is, Dem Senator has a fit, says he was in, quote, tears of rage over Trump S-hole comment. Of course, we can't say S-hole. We're subject to FCC rules, unlike CNN, which can say it 200 times a day. So Booker got up in front of this hearing with Kristen Nielsen. He had an unhinged meltdown. We're going to talk about it, but here's the clip. Take a look.
Right now in our nation, we have a problem. I don't know if 73% of your time is spent on white supremacist hate groups. I don't know if 73% of your time is spent concerned about the people in fear in communities in this country, Sikh Americans, Muslim Americans, Black Americans. The fact pattern is clear of the threats in this country. I hurt. When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt and that pain and to dismiss some of the questions of my colleagues, saying I've already answered that line of questions when tens of millions of Americans are hurting right now because of what they're worried about what happened in the White House. That's unacceptable to me. There are threats in this country. People plotting. I receive enough death threats to know the reality. Kamala receives enough death threats to know the reality. Maisie receives enough death threats to know the reality. And I've got a president of the United States whose office I respect, who talks about the countries of origins of my fellow citizens in the most despicable of manner. You don't remember. You can't remember the words of your commander-in-chief. I find that unacceptable. Mr. Chairman, I'm grateful to be on this committee. I'm more than ever today happy I'm here.
That is Cory Booker with a phony, righteous indignation rant. Look at his face. He's so angry. Is it heartfelt? Is it authentic? Well, no, because he lies in the very first thing he says. Before that even happened, he went on another tangent, another rant about white supremacists being a bigger threat to Americans than Islamic terrorists. Complete baloney. So he starts off his passion-filled rant with a lie, with a flat-out lie that white supremacists are a bigger terror threat to Americans than Islamic terrorists. In fact, the Department of Homeland Security's own stats came out in a report. The headline is DHS report, 3 out of every 4 terrorism offenders since 9/11 were foreign-born. These are DHS statistics released today, confirming that the clear majority of cases, terrorism cases in America, were committed by individuals who were foreign-born. They were not white supremacists. So he starts out this rant on a flat-out lie. He goes on to try and give Nielsen a dressing down because she said she didn't remember if Trump used the S-hole word or not. Not that it matters, because he was completely right. As we've documented, why would those migrants want to come to the West, to America in the first place, if their own countries weren't S-holes? Doesn't mean that they're S-hole people. It means they live in bad countries afflicted by poverty and crime. Complete non-controversy. CNN still, today, 5 days after this one-word comment happened, still had their top story of the he said, she said about, did he say S-hole? Did he say S-house? Who cares? If he said it, he was right. But Cory Booker gets up because he's trying to create a platform for himself to run for president in 2020. Oh, but no, he had tears of rage when he found out about Trump using the word S-hole. BS, complete crap. No, you weren't crying when you found out about this. You were rubbing your hands together thinking, oh, I can go on this feigned, contrived, righteous indignation rant about how upset I am to try and stump a platform for my presidency in 2020. And he does it by lying flat out in the very first sentence of this rant. Absolute crap. But again, they exploit the race card again and again and again, not because they actually care about minorities or brown people, as they call anyone. So, I mean, you're the racist if you just refer to everyone in Haiti as brown people. They have very distinct racial differences, ethnic differences in Haiti, in Dominican Republic, which is on the same island. They wouldn't refer to themselves as brown people. Oh, but the left can do that. The Democrats can do that because they love the brown people. They're the party of the brown people. That's collectivized racism in and of itself. But he gets up with this act, this theatrical drama queen act, pretending he cares about the brown people. And it's completely BS. It's motivated by the lust for power. Because what does he say at the end? And what do all these people say after this? We've heard Ana Navarro say it. We've heard Chuck Schumer say it over the past 24 hours. Trump needs to prove he's not racist after this S-hole controversy by passing DACA. Oh, isn't that convenient? The only way he can prove he's not a racist is by adopting democratic immigration policies. How convenient. This is what Ben Shapiro had to say about Booker's rant. This is insipid. It's John Lovitz acting. No, Booker didn't have tears of rage. He had a presidential candidacy to launch. And if Democrats are fools enough to fall for this sort of theatrical nonsense, let them try it. Americans can still see through this performance. That's what it was. It was a performance. Look how enraged I am. Look how righteous I am. It's not because I'm going to run for president. I'm trying to get myself some headlines. No, it's because I really care about those brown people. Oh, and by the way, you're a racist unless you do everything we say. Again, they sling this race card around, and it's solely related to the pursuit of power. They don't care about those people. Trump was right when he called certain countries S-holes. In fact, my video, which has now got about 3.2 million views on Facebook, another 500,000 on YouTube, goes through all that. Yes, Haiti is an S-hole compared to its next door neighbor, the Dominican Republic, where Westerners go and have luxury holidays because, generally speaking, it's a nice place. It's on the same island, different economic system. They have government that isn't completely corrupt. They have a country that wasn't looted by the Clintons. There you see the graph. Economic prosperity, infant mortality is also way lower in the Dominican Republic because it's not an S-hole. Yes, that's slightly offensive. Oh my God, big deal. Trump's politically incorrect. Who cares? 5 days later, CNN still has it as their top story. It wasn't a controversy. It was him telling the unvarnished truth. Oh, but Cory Booker is really upset. He was crying. He was crying, and that DHS nominee, Nielsen, how dare she not remember it? Absolute drama queen behavior, theatrical performance. He started it off with a lie in the very first sentence. Don't fall for it. We'll be back in the next segment of The Alex Jones Show with Raheem Kassam. Breaking news at Infowars.com. Don't go away. We are live. It is the 4th hour of The Alex Jones Show, and we're joined by Raheem Kassam, who appeared a few days ago on Sky News in a video that quickly went viral. He's here to talk about it, but first, let's take a look at that video. Here it is.
Do you know how much youth homicide went up by in London last year? Have you told your viewers that? 70%. Have you looked at the mayoral's police and crime report from December the 12th? You look at that, almost every single measure out of 42, only 4 of them in 4 categories did crime go down. In every single other area, double-digit rises in crime across London. So you know what? To borrow a phrase from Donald Trump, London's turning into a hole under Sadiq Khan.
Okay, I think we'll leave it there. Raheem,
I'm sure you will.
And there you have it. There was Raheem, I believe, on Friday on Sky News. We have the man himself live. Raheem, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me.
Good to have you. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, but what I found funny about this clip, which has probably got like millions of views by now, it went viral, that the host had been saying the word S-hole, which we can't say. You know, CNN gets to say it 200 times a day, but we can't say it. The host had been saying S-hole throughout the whole interview before that. You know, in an effort to demonize Trump. He was trying to bait you into saying it. That's what I got from the interview. You didn't really. Then you applied it to a different context, and suddenly, oh, we have to end the interview. It was so offensive. Is that what you experienced during the interview?
Well, I'll tell you how this works. You know, a Sky News producer will call you up and say, we're looking for some commentary on this or that issue, and can you get to a studio? And usually I say, yes, and trot down the road here to the nearest studio, and I'm supposed to sit there and just give some commentary, and that's how the entire clip started. About 15 seconds in, as I was giving some sort of balanced background context to the whole S-hole gate scenario, Gamal Fanbullah, who's the Sky News anchor there, started goading me live on national television, and I'm not one of those people who'll just sort of sit there and take it. Or wind back down and apologize. I thought, all right, if you want to throw down, let's really throw down. So I started to use the word back at him. I started to talk about when Obama talked about cursing in the Oval Office, when Joe Biden cursed after the signature of the Affordable Care Act, and how actually Obama had also said that David Cameron turned Libya into an S-hole as well. And he wasn't having any of that. The Sky News enterprise didn't want that on their TVs, and so they actually cut me off. They'll tell you it was technical difficulties, but I have sincere doubts that that was the case. Brought me back sort of a minute later and changed the subject, but I managed to sneak it in once more, and that was in reference to what Sadiq Khan's London currently looks like. So it's kind of a bad experience all around, but it's not my first bad experience with Sky News. I had a viral interview from a couple of years ago as well, when they harangued me for the first 10 minutes of the interview about failing to wear a poppy, having I just got off the train.
I remember it well.
from New York to Washington, D.C. Where was I supposed to get a poppy on the train? So I think, unfortunately, Sky is supposed to be this sort of at least antidote in some sorts to the BBC, but it's not. It's perceived as the Fox News sister organization, but it's really not. It actually pulls far to the left of the BBC on a lot of issues, Paul.
No, I mean, exactly as you said, it's supposed to be, you know, to the right of the BBC. In many cases, it's worse. I mean, you know what you're going to get with the BBC. You'd think you'd get a slightly different flavour with Sky News. It's often worse. But yeah, I mean, he'd been saying the S-hole throughout the interview, like, oh, this is so shocking. Like, you didn't even say it, do you, Raheem? You stepped up to the plate. He was on the ropes after that. Then he dropped the thing at the end, which is what people love. But Raheem, I got a tweet last night in response to me posting this video. I'll read the tweet to you. It said, if you don't like London, of course, you referred to parts of London at least as S-holes. It said, if you don't like London anymore, Paulie, love, you can always move, but the rest of us love it just the way it is. What do you think it is about London, Raheem, that this leftist, this woman, loves, quote, just the way it is? I'm wondering, is it the acid attacks? Is it the fact we're rivaling Chicago for knife murders so far this year? Is it, you know, the Islamic ghettos, the attempted or successful terrorist attacks? Which one do you think it is?
Well, it's interesting that you bring this up, and I just want your audience to know that you and I actually have never met. We don't sort of cooperate on stories, but it's interesting that you bring this tweet up, because I saw that tweet as well, and I started to look into the background of this person who sent it. I went onto her Facebook page, and sure enough, in the last couple of months, she's posted Facebook messages about how terrible it is that Islamic schools in the United Kingdom can segregate, and she's also posted about the acid attacks in London as well. So she's saying one thing on Twitter, Paul, and she's actually saying a complete other thing on Facebook to her friends in what she thinks is probably thinks is a private account. So I can't wait to get back onto this person about that, because she obviously recognizes that there are major problems in London, but simply to attack you, Paul, she grandstands. She does her whole show for Twitter and in your Twitter stream. And if you haven't seen these yet, I'm happy to send them to you, because I think it shows her up as a massive, massive hypocrite.
I'm just surprised she didn't delete the tweet immediately. I mean, mostly when I quote tweet people, they like have mental breakdowns and lock down their Twitter account or just delete their entire account. So I'm impressed with her for not doing that. But the left pushes this narrative, Raheem, when we're talking about violent crime on the rise or terrorism in London, you know, that it's cowardly and paranoid to say, no, we can't carry on as normal, as they say after every terror attack or every, you know, mass stabbing. Yeah, you know, we've seen several incidents now, 2 in Oxford Street recently, just over the past 2 months, where people do immediately fly into mass panic on a whim. In the case of those 2 incidents, they weren't even terrorist attacks. So, you know, is everyone keeping calm and carrying on as normal, or is this actually changing the behavior of people who live in major cities like London?
Look, I'm a London boy, born and raised, as you Northerners refer to me, softy, and I've seen the city change so almost inexorably. I don't see how we're going to get it back in my lifetime. I have the benefit of seeing it from near and from afar, because I often travel to here in the United States where I am now, and I go back every so often and I see the city changing. I was raised in West London in a place called Uxbridge. That looks nothing like it used to look. East London looks nothing like it used to look. South London looks nothing like it used to look. The only pockets that look similar in London at the moment are the major tourist areas. You know, Westminster Abbey, Parliament Square, Soho's pretty much the same. And if you live in one of these bohemian areas, if you live in, I guess what the French call the bobo areas, then life seems completely normal to you. But actually, if you get out there into real London, into the suburbs, go out there into places like Tower Hamlets, go out into places like Hayes End, the entire demographics are changing. It's dirty, it's filthy, crime rates are soaring. Over the last year, the mayor has 40 ways, the mayor's office has 40 ways they track crime, 40 categories. Over the last year, only in 6 of those categories has there been a dip, and it's only a slight dip in crime, minus 1.2%, minus 2.8%, whatever. In the rest of the categories, the rest of the 40 categories, it's double-digit rises in crime across London. Burglary up, rape up, homicide up, youth homicide up. Paul, gun crime up. I thought there weren't any guns in London.
It's incredible. And the thing that I've noticed and documented from, you know, public statements where celebrities give interviews and say exactly where they live. It's not like I'm secretly stalking these people. It's public information. Raheem, the biggest virtue signalers about immigration, the biggest apologists for Islamism, live in the nicest areas of London possible where all these problems are minimal. So like you said, they always know they'll be able to escape the consequences because they have resources. You know, they don't have to use public transport. They don't have to use the NHS necessarily. They can send their kids to the best schools, the ones that aren't overcrowded. Poor native Londoners don't have that luxury. So they not only have to put up with the consequences of all this, they also have to be lectured endlessly about how racist they are by, you know, completely disconnected celebrities like Gary Lineker and Lily Allen. I mean, it's relentless at this point.
Yeah, and Bob Geldof and all these lovies who actually just, you know, Bob Geldof was literally seen flipping off with two fingers the fishermen ahead of the Brexit vote, the fishermen who sailed their boats down, took 2 days off work, lost a load of money, but to protest against that, he literally stuck two fingers up at them from his gin palace on the River Thames. Hold
that thought, Raheem. We've got a break coming up. We'll be back in 3 minutes. The book is No-Go Zones. Raheem Kassam, Infowars.com. We'll be back. We are back with the editor of Breitbart London and author of the book No-Go Zones, which is excellent. I've read it. We're going to tell you how you can get it here in a few minutes. Raheem Kassam. Raheem, let's talk about no-go zones, because if you remember back in early 2015, the media was still claiming that they were a conspiracy theory. We had the mayor of Paris tried to sue Fox News for saying there were no-go zones in Paris. Here we are 3 years later, you know, mail companies refuse to deliver to these areas. The German government's telling women not to go out alone at night. Swedish police are installing microphones in no-go zones to pick up the sound of women's screams. We've got crime stats out of Germany, Sweden, showing that violent crime is skyrocketing. I mean, are you as hopeless as, you know, for example, someone like Douglas Murray, who, you know, in his book lays out a very skeptical future for these European countries, where this demographic trend, which has created some of these no-go zones, is just impossible to overcome. Do you see are you that hopeless, or do you see a way out of this demographically as we go forward?
I suppose it depends on where you're talking about specifically. Germany, I don't see a way forward for them. France, I don't see a way forward for them. But when you look at the Visegrad group, the Hungaries, the Polands, and even when you look at a country like the United Kingdom with our Brexit vote in 2016, there is still the semblance of hope out there that these things can be reversed. But we actually have to start having really, really tough conversations that people don't want to have. And I've tried to have these conversations over the past year, especially regarding the 25,000 or odd people who are on the Islamic radical watch list in the United Kingdom. I've tried to open up a discussion publicly about what it would entail to actually start deporting some of these people if indeed they have come from foreign countries. And as we know, as you said earlier on in the program, now we're looking at these statistics in the United States and finding that 4/5, I think, is the latest number of terror attacks being committed by people from foreign countries. I suspect that we have a lot of that going on in the United Kingdom too. We keep being told, oh no, but this is homegrown and so on and so forth. I don't think that they're being completely honest about those, and they don't release any statistics. And I suspect we know why they don't release any statistics. So in answer to your question, I think there is some hope for some European countries and for the United Kingdom. But actually, the one thing that I've been saying most recently, Paul, and you will recognize this, having sort of one foot on either side of the Atlantic as well, is that the reason that the Americans often succeed in standing athwart history and yelling stop, as it were, is because they are active citizens in their politics. The British public tend to be quite laid back when it comes to politics. They think that these experts and these politicians will come around to their way of thinking for some reason, and they don't. So they don't get involved in their school boards. They don't get involved in their local council meetings. They don't get involved in politics at any level. And what I'm telling people is actually, if you're not going to do it, if you're not going to bother being part of the solution, then you are part of the problem.
Now, you mentioned the different levels of interest there at the UK and the US. I mean, there's still voracious interest from my American audience in this migrant crisis, in these no-go zones, in these Islamic ghettos. Even, you know, 2.5, 3 years later, it just shows you, you know, they see Europe as the example that they don't want to become. You mentioned Germany. Of course, now we got no-go zones in Germany where we didn't have them in certain areas before. I put out this video yesterday, and you put it up as well. German public television showing soap opera characters converting to Islam in front of their kids. We've got professors in Germany, and you had this story up on Breitbart, talking about mass drugging the population with oxytocin to make them more accepting of migrants. We're rolling the clip out of the German soap opera right now. You know, we had another public television show in Germany where it was a 16-year-old girl in a relationship with an adult Syrian migrant. That was all presented very positively. Do you think this is just all like well-intentioned idiocy from the refugees welcome crowd, or do you think it represents something more insidious in Germany in particular?
Well, the foot soldiers of the Open Society Foundation Army and the Angela Merkel Brigade, they are morons. They are turkeys voting for Christmas. I don't expect any level of critical thinking or analysis into the future from these people. But the people at the top know exactly what they're doing here. It's partly, and you've heard this before, so you'll forgive me, but it's partly to do with big corporate interests. They want cheap migrant labor. Some things in Germany just don't change with their attitude to human beings, let's say, and they like exploiting people. And Germany is becoming, again, prolific at doing that in this century as it did in the last century. And part of it is also the fact that if you change the demographics of a nation, if you eradicate things that people can convalesce around, be it a flag, be it an anthem, any of these things, then people become much more pliable. It's much more easy to manipulate people who don't have other things that they gather around. It could be language, for instance, and we're seeing that taking place here in the United States at the moment, where they're trying to make the case, make the argument that actually there is a place in the United States for more than one flag and more than one anthem and more than one language. I would argue that that is a very, very insidious and well thought out plan being carried out right now. The one thing that they didn't countenance, they didn't consider in all of this is the free media, is critical thinkers out there doing things like you, Paul, off your own backs in many instances, spending all of your time, all of your money, all of your effort fighting back against this stuff. And to the army of people out there who are considering, should I do it? I'm kind of scared. I might be targeted. Yeah, you might be targeted, but you'll be dead anyway. You will not be leaving a country to your children that you inherited. So unless you fight, what the heck is the point? What are you doing?
Now, we just got a few minutes left here, Raheem. I want to give you a chance to plug the book. Switching gears, though, UKIP. I mean, you were involved in the UKIP leadership election last time around. Looks like Henry Bolton may be on his way out. That remains to be seen. Yeah. Would you consider running again for the UKIP leadership position?
Unfortunately, I've thought long and hard about this, spent a lot of time talking to very significant people in the Brexit movement over the last couple of days. I don't believe that UKIP has a route forward. And I can get into all sorts of boring and bureaucratic, pedantic things that are going on inside UKIP that makes that not possible. And I might spell that out in an article shortly. But at this point in time, I think I can do far more for Brexit and for the people of the United Kingdom by continuing running a news organization like Breitbart London and doing all the other things that I do as well. So at this point in time, I'm not quite ready to put my hat in. And I don't think that time is going to come, if I'm honest with you, Paul. As much as it kills me to say so, I just don't think it's salvageable. I think we need something new.
That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, a lot of people are now saying that UKIP's obviously in disarray. It needs to be rebranded. They need to start from scratch, basically. That's a sentiment popular amongst many people right now. I just want to give you a chance in the final couple of minutes. Tell people where they can find you on Twitter and where they can get the book, which, again, I've read it. It's excellent. Everyone needs to go out and get it. Where can they do so?
Yeah, I mean, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, all those places. It's called No-Go Zones, How Sharia is Coming to a Neighborhood Near You. Actually contained on-the-ground research, which I know is weird for the media to be doing nowadays. I went to all these places, saw it firsthand, interviewed key players across all these communities. I tweet about it a lot at Raheem Kassam. I now have a Patreon as well if you want to support my work, and Facebook fan page as well. So I appreciate you giving me the chance to plug all of that. The book is No-Go Zones.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Editor of Breitbart London and author of No-Go Zones, Raheem Kassam. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Paul.
There goes Raheem Kassam. We have a couple of minutes left here in the show. I'm just going to hit on a couple of final news stories. Islamophobic hijab scissors attack story championed by Justin Trudeau revealed as fake news. You probably heard about this. It was an 11-year-old Muslim girl who claimed she'd been attacked in Toronto by a man with a pair of scissors who attempted to cut off her hijab. At the time, the Prime Minister, the virtue signaller in chief, Justin Trudeau, decried the attack. basically tried to make out that it was an illustration of how Islamophobic Canadian society is. It's not. It's the most tolerant in the world, probably. But on Monday, Toronto police confirmed that the alleged assault never took place. Once again, it was a fake hate crime. Who faked it? We don't know. Was it the parents of this girl? Was it the girl herself who cut her own hijab? But after a detailed investigation, police have determined that the events described in the original news release did not happen. The investigation is concluded. They've slammed the lid shut. Will Justin Trudeau come out and issue a retraction, given that he stood behind this incident and said it was a dark omen of the Islamophobia that plagues Canadian society? Will he retract? I won't be holding my breath. We mentioned this earlier. DHS reports 3 out of every 4 terrorism offenders since 9/11 were foreign-born, completely debunking Cory Booker's claim that the biggest threat is white supremacists. It's not. Every Swedish household to receive guide on how to handle terror attacks. Again, people are trying to portray what's going on in Sweden, in Germany is perfectly normal and natural. They're safe, stable countries. No, they're not. In certain areas, it's absolute bedlam, and we all know the reason why. That's going to wrap it up for the 4th hour. War Room is coming up. Breaking news at Infowars.com. Don't go away.
Hello, this is Hank Hill, and I'm telling you what, you need to listen to Alex Jones.
Yeah. Infowars.com.
If you don't watch it, you're going to end up like Jason Adderley's boy. Deal me out this hand, Jason. I'm about to bust. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was the bathroom. Oh, good Lord.
Scanning. Control. Manipulate scientific data. Take over. Blast. Control. World government. Shut down infrastructure. Ship everything to China. Just look at this person.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
I'm so excited. The new product at InfoWarsLife.com in a glass bottle, 2-month servings, filled to the brim, filled to the absolute top, the real red pill. This is a heart and brain pill, a nootropic that doesn't have any stimulants in it. But boy, does it stimulate, because it's beyond that. Quite frankly, I just went off what I saw medical doctors prescribing to their patients, but it wasn't prescription, but they were charging people $100, $200 for the formulae, and I came up with our own formula working with some scientists and developers, non-GMO, made right here in America, 120 capsules, and ladies and gentlemen, you add the pregnenolone to it, which is the precursor to all the hormones that your body has to have to even make the hormones in your glands. It is amazing. Red pill, now available at InfoWarsStore.com, and your purchase funds the operation.